gentlemen. This is Mark Apollo from the Donk Squad, joined by Mr. Joe 21K himself. Welcome back to the world's second ever Dongcast podcast hosted by the Donk Squad. If you're watching this from Twitch, go ahead and give us a holler. If you're watching this from YouTube, go ahead and give us a you holler. So, yeah, as you can see, we've redecorated a little bit. And I've decided also to find us a different venue. So, Joe, why don't we go ahead and take a seat? Damn, it'd be like that. Alright. Prepare your ears. Alrighty. How do you like your seat, Joe? It's a pretty nice seat. It's a pretty nice empty house we got going on. We got this all to ourselves thanks to, shout out to Corona. Miss Rona giving us the best seat in the house, or should I say just the entire house in general. Big shout out. Massive love. Massive creds. Either way, we've redecorated, and if you guys are wondering why the hell are there two faces on the screen, well, as you can see on the left hand side, that should be me. And on the right hand side, we got Mr. Joe himself. And yeah, essentially, this art was given to us by an amazing artist. And these are just placeholders to just... Well, essentially, we're going to be having webcam soon. If you joined in from the Twitch stream from yesterday, you all saw my lovely, beautiful face and beautiful hairs. So tonight I will not be blessing you with my digital persona, sadly. So this is as much as you're going to get from tonight. And plus, I got to make sure my pores have some nice rest from the ever so damaging heat from the lamp. Oh no, it's not. It's not that hot. It's just I didn't want to be. Yeah, I don't. No, it is really bright, and actually having the glasses that I have on actually really helps. So yeah, do forgive us in advance if everything is kind of wonky. Like I think from already by default, I can kind of see that the chat is in the middle. And it's already messing up. Because, yeah, it kind of is. I mean, we'll fix that at some point. Probably not right now. Well, you're posting it from the YouTube chat. So once again, hello YouTube, hello Twitch. We're actually simulcasting right now. So you'll be able to watch us if you're watching us from YouTube. And also if you're watching us from Twitch, you'll be able to see... Well, you'll be able to see it on both platforms. From TwitchTube. Yeah, TwitchTube. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Either way, it's been a while since we've got a little podcast going on. We still are dry from content. We still have a lot of things backed up, like an old loogie. So we're trying to gonna get that out as soon as we can to you guys, but we got some pretty good content already. Yeah, what's going on, Detective Muffler? This thing is already messing up. Oh my god. You know what? This gives us a chance to try this out. Woo. Alright, the gerbils on the floor have done their job. It should be working now. I turned them up. I think it might be really loud now. Is something being heard right now? Joe, say hello.
Hello. What? I wonder if it's a Twitch thing because I kind of heard myself like hearing it on YouTube, but it was really low.
There you go.
Oh, you can hear it now?
Actually, what had the same problem from yesterday is happening right now, but with you.
Oh, that's
Haha.
great.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hello. So now it makes me sound like I was talking to myself the entire time.
Yeah, again,
Yeah, it'd be like that.
like always.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we got a nice treat for you. And by nice treat, I mean we literally are going to talk about almost the exact same thing we were talking about earlier from last podcast, or should I say the official Dong Squad Dongcast podcast. If you remember from the last one, we were discussing over a specific brand of entertainment in the superhero franchise, or should we refer to as Marvel. So, Joe recently came up to me and was like, hey, you know, we should probably just talk about what's going on in the MCU, or just talk about the MCU in general, with all the hype from DC, which we got from, like, I think they had like a little con, no? Was it like a digital event? They had like a digital event, no?
I don't even know, honestly.
If IRC, they did have like some type of digital event where that was the whole hype around the release of the Zack Snyder cut and all that. And I think they also used that opportunity to also show that they were going to announce the new Flash movie that was going to come out. And they also showed a trailer for the new Suicide Squad game. And I think around that time too, they also put out the trailer or the teaser trailer for the new Gotham Knights game as well. So they were trying to be on a roll, trying to put out even more content, just to show that like, yo, DC still exists, by the way. And we just felt compelled to talk about more about Marvel because well, at least for me, I'm a huge Marvel head. I don't think DC sucks. I just really find everything about it to be a little bit lackluster, if so to speak. I mean, the characters are amazing in their own resort, but when it comes to the big screen, obviously there should be no real entanglement between the two, because the same could go for Marvel. There's a lot of characters that are really cool, but put onto the big screen, it's very selective because I guess they kind of have this algorithm to knowing what's going to stick and what's not going to stick. They've had the actual advantage of not being able to put out stuff on TV, or have the advantage of putting out stuff on TV and people just forgiving it because it is the sake of television. They go, well, they can't just get all the amazing stuff and then put it into a TV show because you're gonna have to basically stretch out the storylines and the characters.
Do you remember the do you remember the super old Avengers?
Super old Avengers? Oh, the first
Yeah. Like, I think it came out like the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I seen clips for that. I didn't think that was an actual thing. I thought it was like a fan made thing. I'm like, oh, it's definitely not. Oh, we got a bot.
Gotta eat that boy. Guys get famous with that link. Damn. Make you mod? I don't even know if we can do that right here.
I don't know how to do that.
I can block you if that's what you want. Make you feel special. Don't worry. I got you covered, baby. Damn. I'll think about it. It's one of my superpowers. Disclaimer, by the way, I'm a huge Captain America fan if that wasn't already shown. Just a disclaimer. Just
where he gets his love for shields from.
Yeah. Yeah. Just throwing that out there. With that said, so let's start from what kind of shit is this? It's a podcast. Or at least I guess you could say a sorry excuse for a podcast. It's a Dongcast. Actually.
Yeah.
Yep. It's innovative, if so to say. How are you doing, Zach? We're discussing Marvel shit if you want to put any information in. Zachariah. Either way.
Wait, were you trying to have the music in here too still or not?
Oh no, the music is fine. your ass. I mean, later. Not right now. Not in front of the people.
Not in front of the people.
So, starting from the very beginning, we got, obviously, if we were to talk about release order, rating the film specifically, we start with Iron Man. So, I don't really think we had any correlation of any way or form from any other studios or Marvel themselves to know we were going to expect anything aside from trailers and like large soda cups from Carl's Jr. that Iron Man was coming out. And I don't think anyone expected anything of it. I don't think we had the Incredible Hulk. Well, I don't even think it was Incredible Hulk. I think it was just the Hulk.
Yeah, it was just the Hulk.
Before. Yeah.
Because the ones that came out were Marvel were Hulk. Technically Blade Runner is Marvel, right?
Blade Runner?
Yeah. I'm sorry. No. Wait, no, I'm right?
You mean just regular Blade?
Yeah, just Blade.
Yes. I mean, all that counted as Marvel. The X-Men movies as well. I don't remember if the X-Men movies came out before. I think they did.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, I think those were just independent films. I know the Fantastic Four came out earlier too.
Yeah.
Literally, Iron Man was the first ever film that was endorsed by Marvel Studios. And before then, they weren't even called Marvel Studios at that point. It was just funded by Marvel. Because essentially, I think it was actually made by Paramount. It was shot on Paramount, made by Paramount, and then just fully endorsed by Marvel 100%. Justin Kevin Feige had the authority as producer to actually endorse these films to have some type of connection with each other, because he did have plans of making several films that were going to intertwine, because the whole point was to put out an Avengers film, if I remember. So Fred Durst certified stream. Dude, I really want Fred Durst to come out in the MCU. Who do you guys think he should be? What do you think, Joe?
Oh, you know it'd be hilarious?
I think he should be Ghost Rider.
No. You know it'd be really freaking hilarious is if he was Black Bolt. So it's just like when he just says something and the most powerful thing is like, yeah. It just everything gets destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to introduce him by making him a literal inhuman.
Yeah.
I mean, did you know that there actually is an Inhuman show?
Well, there was, not anymore.
Yeah, in 2015.
It only lasted like barely a season, right?
It lasted one season and one season only. It was literally a one and done, because I think it actually ended, and it ended in the worst spot possible. We did get introduced to the actual cosmic beings, but we never got to see any of them, which was really sad. We got to see a lot of the immediate family, so we did get to see Black Bolt. That was cool. But we got to see no one else asides the main family, and I was like, damn. I mean, they had Lockjaw, though.
See, I didn't really watch it. I just saw clips, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Wait, they actually made this a TV show? In hindsight, they probably shouldn't, because there's a lot of, like, pretty badass characters, like, especially Black Bolt. And to see him in, like, that low of a budget TV show, it's like, fuck.
It was around the same quality of, I'd say, the DC shows, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Actually, if we're going back to where the initial films came in, I would say Iron Man, the effects were all into the suit, obviously, but aside from that, there wasn't much in the film. And this came from me actually rewatching it. I'd say around like 2 weeks ago, I rewatched the first film, because I'm trying to get my sister into watching the entire MCU just so she can have some basis. Because for the love of God, getting someone started with comics is hard, because there's so many variants, so many versions, and so many renditions, and so many different timelines to follow, that it's almost impossible to really get started without a good foundation. And the normal 616, as it is, consistently changes. I don't know if that's a case in the DC universe where there's different timelines that interfere with each other.
From what I remember, yeah. where it literally came to a point where they had like a reboot of some sort where they said that Superboy fucking punched a hole in reality and just changed everything.
Superboy?
Yeah. Do you not know who that is?
No.
Superboy is basically a clone of Superman. They took his DNA. So
Is
he's
that
like
the,
half.
is that the Red Sun, or is that a different person? A different
Nah, that's a different person, I'm pretty sure. Superboy is literally just like half. He's created. So it's just like he's half Kryptonian of Superman's DNA and like half human. So he has part of Superman's powers, but it's not unlocked to its full potential like Superman for the most part, I think. But I don't know. I guess he gets like more powerful at some point, and then that whole thing. Because I just remember kind of seeing that. I'm like, wait, what? How did it get to that point? And from what I saw, is that he just punched a hole in reality. I'm like, what?
What the fuck? I literally had, like, this is shout out to my toilet. I was in the restroom, literally flipping through YouTube as usual per se of the average American male, and I just happened to bump into my recommended feed, which is a clip of Red Sun Superman beating the shit out of American Superman, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Obviously, it would make more sense if I watched the cartoon or the movie, but I was like, why is this a thing? Like, what even about it is supposed? What is the whole point of this? Like, I know there was a clone made, or not a clone. It said like, imagine if Clark Kent actually landed in Russia. So I'm like, okay, wait. So is the American one not Clark Kent? Because I was confused.
I'm not sure because I just know like they bring in the multiple Supermans. Uh, when I think it's after he dies, or at some point like in another storyline or whatever, he's dead, and then all these other Supermen are trying to take over the mantle of Superman. I think there's like this storyline of that. Probably wrong, but from what I remember seeing around.
Well, either way, if you're just tuning in, welcome back to the second ever Dongcast. If you're watching this from YouTube, hello. If you're watching this from Twitch, hello. Make sure you have us either on a separate tab. You can always just check in and see what else is being commented, or just keep us on the side tab, as I said earlier. Just have us, just something that you can listen to while you're doing your homework, playing Minecraft, or even using the restroom. Yes, take us everywhere. Take us when you cook. Take us when you go to the store. Take us when you're dropping off your kids at work. Take us when, well, the government is on your ass. We can't cover you, but you know what? We'll cause a distraction. With our positive energy and good vibes, I can guarantee you get away safely. Isn't that right, Joe?
We'll just start talking about Marvel stuff, and because everyone watches the movies, they feel that they have an opinion about it, which is what we're doing.
Exactly. Movie number 1. Iron Man, 2007. Robert Downey Jr. as
Hey,
Tony Stark. Quick shot. Opinion.
wait,
So,
what?
quick shot opinion. Like, what's your opinion on Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark? Because I want to start with like just castings as well.
So when the movie came out, I couldn't really like compare. But then and see, that's the thing for me is that like seeing that movie, I'm like, I knew of Iron Man, but I'm like, it doesn't really interest me that much because I didn't really know about him that much. And I saw the movie, I'm like, huh. So the way that he played just Tony Stark in general, I thought was pretty good, and that's what like got me interested and find out more about the character and everything. I'm like, oh, he was pretty spot on with his performance in it.
It didn't feel lackluster for sure. I think Marvel Studios, and of course later on down the road Disney, worked out a lot of crinks or wrinkles to make sure that these actors really kind of fit the bill. Because there's some we didn't really see any big names besides ScarJo. Because as much as Robert Downey Jr. is an amazing actor, he didn't have much going on for him. I'll be honest. just here in America, but also in the UK. Like, have you seen his Charlie Chaplin performance?
I haven't seen it, but I know he's mentioned it before.
That movie
In
is.
some other movies I saw. I mean, not movies,
I'm not too
videos.
sure how. I haven't really heard many people talk about like its validity in terms of Charlie Chaplin's life, but performance-wise, it is amazing. Like he is really good. Like I've if you've seen Benjamin Button, you can appreciate just you can appreciate Brad Pitt just putting on different types of makeup and just enamoring himself and acting in different types of age groups. But obviously didn't have the type of technology back in the late 80s, early 90s when Robert Downey Jr. did the Charlie Chaplin movie. It was just him putting on different types of like prosthetics. And I will say he did really good. Of course, it's a lot of times biopics are very gimmicky. It's always leading up to a specific point and then finding a way how to find a good resounding ending, making sure that everything resolutes and tying back to the prime. Because I would say Bohemian Rhapsody had that same concourse where they tried to make sure that the end always showcased the middle, and I feel like that's what they tried to do with Iron Man. Because it seems like he's really good at making sure he can embody emotions without having to really try that hard. Because one thing that's shown a lot throughout Tony Stark's life in the MCU is that he's a very bottled person. Like he's someone that's not really one to talk about how he feels, and he shadows that with insecurity and basically like a flamboyant or arrogant manner. And I don't want to be that dude, but the original Tony Stark wasn't really like that. Yeah, he was like a playboy, but he wasn't really that much of an in your face type of person at all. Like I have to say the way Ben Affleck acts as Bruce Wayne is actually more like Tony Stark is supposed to be portrayed.
Well, he portrayed old Bruce Wayne.
Like Bruce Wayne where he's just like, oh, too old for this shit.
Yeah, because at
We have to
that
deal with
point he was acting as old Bruce Wayne. Just I'm too old for this. I don't give a shit. The way what I've been doing up until this point hasn't been working, so I'm gonna be
Yeah, like
more
there's that
aggressive.
one scene. I think the only time I actually ever laughed in the Justice League film was when I forgot who it was, but someone told him like, "Oh, what are we gonna do with the bank? I bought the bank." I was like, what the fuck?" But that's actually something Tony Stark would say. Like he'd be like, "Oh, you know what? Don't worry about it. But what about the government? I already gave them money." It's like stuff like that. Like he isn't exactly arrogant, but he's pretty full of it, but he doesn't exude it. The Robert Downey Jr. one is just oozing like absolute arrogance and conceit, which is not bad. I mean, he does a good job at it. It doesn't make me hate it, but I feel like he's a little bit too loud for the character. But for a separate universe, I'd say it's top notch. I like it, but I felt if I was to really compare it to the actual counterparts in the old Tri-Cell comic books, not that similar. But it fit. I mean, who else to play? Who else could have really been him? Because there was supposedly two other people, and we don't even know who was supposed to play him. And it is said that basically he told them, "I hope you don't hire these people because I want to be Tony Stark." I'm like, he had this much faith in Marvel? Like, I guess they must have cut him a really good deal for them to ensure him that he was going to have some type of legacy with this, but it would make sense unless they told him, we're going to make this branch out and you will be the next Jack Sparrow.
I mean, to like also think about it this way is to take into account like stuff that was going on in his life personally too.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like all the stuff that he went through in his life and where he was coming back to, I guess. Not coming back to.
Because he was pretty out of the loop. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that film had not that that much action going on, but it was still a good watch. Very well made introduction into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, tying in not only the character of Tony Stark, but also introducing Shield. We got to take a look at Agent Coulson. We got to take a look at Nick Fury for the very first time. Now, it goes without being said that I think Samuel Jackson nailed the black version of Nick Fury, and I'm glad they went with that version because I think the original Hasselhoff version of Fury was, it felt very awkward. So I'm glad they went with that version of Fury.
What do you mean it felt awkward though?
Have you ever seen the Hasselhoff Fury?
I I saw like the comic version of the other one, but
Like it felt.
I didn't know anything.
It felt too much like the old school Arnold and Sylvan movies, where it's just very hoorah, America, shoot, explosion. I'm a soldier. Like it felt too much like that. And the Samuel Jackson version of Nick Fury, which is actually loosely based on him, by the way. When they did the redesign of the Nick Fury in the Ultimate Universe, or the Ultimate revamp of all the characters, which was, I don't know if you ever saw, but there was actually somewhat like Marvel Avengers cartoons, like kind of like the solo films that DC has that are animated. Marvel had some, and they used the brand new Nick Fury that they made, which is the one that was supposed to be very reminiscent of Samuel Jackson. So it was kind of like funny that they just went with that one, because they thought like, well, Samuel Jackson has some pretty good cred with nerds.
I think
Huh?
in one of the Spider-Man shows, didn't they go with the Nick Fury one?
The Hasselhoff one?
No, the Nick. Oh, sorry, the Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel version.
I think so. Because I think around that time, I believe in 2007, because this was towards the end of the Sam Raimi franchise of Spider-Man, and they had just made a new cartoon, and it was to boot it up on Disney XD, because this was going from I think it was going, I forgot what it was called, but Disney had a separate TV channel, and I don't remember if it was called Disney X, but I think it was the predecessor to Disney XD, and they had a brand new Spider-Man show, and they did use the Samuel Jackson one. So yeah, you're right.
I think it was what is it? The Spectacular Spider-Man or Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yes. Ultimate Spider-Man came later around.
Oh, maybe it was Marvel Spider-Man, because when I'm looking at the thing, it shows like Disney XD.
Yeah, well, because I think Ultimate Spider-Man was the longest running one, and that one actually had Drake Bell as Peter Parker.
No, Marvel Spider-Man was in 2017. Said Ultimate Spider-Man was
Spectacular.
2012 to 2017. Wait, Spectacular. Oh, Spectacular one? That one was from 2008 to 2009.
Yes, that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember who played Spider-Man in that one, but we did have tie-ins from other Marvel characters into there, and the one recurring one was Tony Stark. So Iron Man had come out several times in that show, and my assumptions are they wanted to hype up the initial start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, a very odd continuation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was to follow up with Hulk right after the first Iron Man film. Now, no one expected anything. No one expected to even have a separate character even come out. Because I remember when I saw the film and I saw Nick Fury at the end, which was if you actually stayed after the movie, because this was the first time they ever did that. I think my dad had a friend who watched the film, and by luck he stayed until the end, and he said that there was something, so he told my dad, hey, wait until the end of the movie, like after the credits, and then that's how we found out. So we as normal humans understood that there was going to be a sequel that would interfere with all the other Avengers, but I didn't assume that they were going to make separate films for each one, because he did say, I'm starting a group. Like he did say, I want to talk about the Avengers. He did say that at the in his house. Like he did say it. I thought Iron Man 2 was just gonna fling all the Avengers into one movie. Never did I imagine they were gonna, like I said, never did I imagine they were gonna put more. So, like putting in the Hulk, that was kind of weird. But I mean, I guess they just wanted to get it out of the way first. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember too much about the Edward Norton film, besides just seeing a couple clips on YouTube from some of the fight scenes. Which, let's be honest, whenever you think of Hulk, you don't think of tiny Bruce Banner. You think of Big Hulk. You think of the Green Chungus himself.
Do you think that part of the reasoning why they decided to go with the Hulk to be the next movie is because that other Hulk movie came out like 3 years prior? It's like, all right, let's wipe everyone's minds about that one.
You know what? That could be the case. I feel that they kind of just maybe wanted to get some type of relation of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner being really well knowledgeable scientists, because it would make sense to have the easiest team up would be to have Bruce Banner and Tony Stark be side by side in the lab.
Because didn't Nick Fury say that he wanted Banner for like Banner himself as a scientist? That's why he was wanting to recruit. Well, that's what he was telling him, but
well, in the first Avengers film, we are shown that yeah, that he did want Banner, but everyone's absolutely. I thought that was kind of dumb. Everyone was absolutely terrified of the Hulk. Like everyone was absolutely terrified, and no one ever considered, hey, why don't we actually have Bruce Banner conduct some type of physiological test to himself, so he doesn't, go bananas and destroy half of the ship like he did in that one film. Because the whole movie, half of it was, don't get him angry, don't get him angry, don't get him angry. Oh no, he's angry, and then for some reason he rips out, like, the whole point of making them fight each other, which was the whole mind control thing that Loki had. Too, when they had Hawkeye also get like mind controlled, and also Doctor, what's his name? Dr. Selvig that we saw in Thor. Dr. Selvig and Hawkeye, they were both being controlled by Loki, and I think he wanted to have Hulk be controlled. I don't remember if he did, but it was kind of a weird scene, or a weird just motive in the film. And the whole having S.H.I.E.L.D. actually build Hydra weapons or use Hydra weapons. The whole why are you lying to us? Why are you lying to us? And I saw a YouTube video from a YouTube channel where they were discussing on how specific scene breakdowns that make one film great and or greater than another film. And one thing that they pulled out from Avengers film, that they pointed out that the reason why the Avengers worked and the Justice League did not work was because there was a lot of internal conflict with the Avengers, which is all. I don't really think it's that good, but it does make the characters feel more human. I do give it that. It makes them feel that they're not just some absolute gods that cannot be touched by any other human being or even other living creature. Whereas with the Justice League, they were that scene where they were all fighting Superman, that just felt cheesy as hell. So with the internal conflicts, I guess that sprouted some actual, I guess, initial responses of people saying, okay, these characters work, and showing Iron Man and I guess Bruce Banner first. They wanted to make sure that they were these people are smart. These people are literally just dudes that can do stuff. And then Iron Man 2 came out, which I think it was just literally to just introduce even more side characters, to introduce obviously Natasha Romanoff, and have more interactions with Agent Coulson. And Whiplash is such a bad character.
yeah,
Mickey
I mean, well, I don't really know the Iron Man villain, but it's just when you think about it, what really makes the Iron Man movie so great is just seeing the animation of different Iron Man suits, the different animations, and everything. Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark. When it comes to this, like the villains, it's like, eh.
Well, very true. People like seeing Tony Stark just really, they just like him flying around. They just like him flying around doing his thing. That's the whole point of him. And there's a sense of satisfaction from seeing not only his interaction with his own suit, but also him interacting with his AI. Because I don't know if you ever saw the old cartoons, but the old Iron Man cartoon, that shit was so fun to watch because you got to see how much he got to do with Jarvis.
The 90s one.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but like it randomly came up like on my Instagram because like old animated show.
Iron Man War Machine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was that one. Yeah, because it was old like animated shows intros, and like the Iron Man one popped up. I'm like, what the hell? And I watched it. I'm like, dude, this intro is badass. Oh, it's 90s. No wonder.
Yeah, it was a really cool show, and like I would say that was spot on. A really good Tony Stark, and that Tony Stark was the one I was mentioning earlier. That he was very reserved, and he was sassy, but he wasn't in your face. Like he didn't say things for you to basically step on his toe and then punch him in the face when he retracted from trying to pick up his foot when you stepped on it. He was very subtle, very sassy, very inclined to do things the scientific way. I'm not saying that we don't see a lot of that from the Robert Downey Jr. one, but when you make an actor that obviously you could tell that they're not smart and make them feel smart, I don't know, it just feels weird. Too many times when Iron Man explains something or when Tony Stark explains something that felt a little bit out of his reach of what he studied, it just felt a little bit lackluster. Like, I felt too many times I don't even know what he studied. Like, what is Tony Stark? Is he a physicist? Is he a I know he's
engineer,
a specialist, but that would just an engineer. Okay, he deals with a lot of things that are past engineering expertise. Like,
is it though? I mean, because like engineer can just branch out into a bunch of different things, though. If you think about it.
Well, Well, because see it this way. Bruce Banner is a biologist.
Right.
He initially studies the way organisms work and the way cells work. And that was the whole emphasis of the Incredible Hulk. And a lot of things that we see Mark Ruffalo do, a lot of things he speaks of, he actually speaks of human behavior patterns, and he also talks about organisms and living beings. So a lot of things we were introduced with the Edward Norton film, we still see with the Mark Ruffalo character. And I don't see too much of Stark staying, like, if I was to be a little bit more pinpoint accurate, I don't see him discuss anything that's inside his playing field. Because I don't even think we see other characters try to even understand what they're talking about. And most of the times, like over the course of all the films, they make Thor dumber and dumber and dumber.
Oh yeah.
And then Steve Rogers just accepts everything. But what is kind of funny is that Steve Rogers apparently was okay with alien technology, but then when he came back from the ice in Avengers, he apparently goes, "Oh my god, technology?"
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just like he technically saw like futuristic. Well, I guess like just because it's under the title of Alien and everything, it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to understand it. But he's in the future. What the fuck is this shit?
It seems to be running on some sort of electricity. Oh my god.
Do they even use electricity anymore here? What's going on?
Oh my god. In Thor, we actually also got some more scientific breakthroughs or explanations of how the Marvel Cinematic Universe works through Dr. Selvig. And Dr. Selvig, I think it was supposed to be a paleontologist or someone who just understood not only like molecular structure but as well as Norse mythology. And he knew a little bit too much, Because he basically created that portal between fucking Asgard and Earth. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you were just some dude who like Norse mythology too much. Because at that point, it was like you're basically just a Kevin who went to college for like 12 years. If you don't know what I mean by that, some dude who's like basically interested in spite.
Yeah, and I need to rewatch Thor because I forgot that happened.
Yeah, he basically created a portal. I don't. Well, here's another thing I wanted to bring up. So, in Thor, we got to see the three homeboys that hang out with Thor. Because we see. I'm trying to remember their names, but I do know that they're called the Warriors 3. I don't know if you remember those guys. There were the three other dudes that popped up, like the Asian guy, the blonde dude, and the tall ginger guy.
Right.
I'm trying to make you dig your brain a little bit. I know one of them is called Hogun and Volstagg. Hogun is the samurai looking dude, or the Bushido looking dude, the Asian guy. And then we got Volstagg, which is the tall dude. I'm trying to remember the green guy's name. He wields a sword, and they help Thor. Like they're always like supporting members to Thor. Like him, Loki, and Lady Sif, basically. And whenever Loki and Thor travel, they always go with them. Like they always go. So I was actually pretty fucking hyped up to see them there, but we never fucking got to see them again. I was like, damn. It was such a sad day. Because we also got to see the same type of deal with Mr. Steve Rogers with his group in the first ever Captain America film. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that little posse he had.
Yeah, he had the I'll be honest though, like the Howling Commandos, they're badass, and I feel like Bucky was just kind of shoveled in there to just make people go like, oh my god, we had the whole crew. And man, I wish to see more of these characters. I really wish we could have something where we can have the Warriors 3 and the Howling Commandos come out. And I'm just fanboying to myself right now. I can't even speak properly because I'm just remembering.
You want to know something funny?
What's up?
So back when I watched the Captain America movie,
Yes.
because like Ricardo and I we saw it, and so like one of the guys in the Howling Commandos, like the guy with like the mutton chops. Yeah. So like Ricardo kept calling him mutton chops, and when I rewatched it, like I don't know how long ago, and I saw him again, I'm like, holy shit! I didn't know this before, but it's because I watched the show Arrow on CW.
Yeah.
That guy plays a villain in Arrow. His name is Damien Dark. And it's just so funny to see him in the Captain America movie like that. Because in Arrow, he studied well, he was like part of the League of Shadows and everything and all those secrets, and then he eventually got like these powers. And so he's this powerful guy, but he get killed by the arrow. That's besides the point. He basically like had the Force essentially. And then I go back and watch Captain America, and I see him as mutton chops. I'm like, this is just funny to me.
Well, the Howling Commandos, they were humans, and then they evolved. They basically got experimented on. Mutton chops actually stayed the way he stays, stays the way he is basically. Everyone else turns into like weird, creepy creatures. Like one of them straight up turns into like a fish dude. And I'm like, well, that sucks. But their origin does start back when Steve Rogers initially takes on Hydra, and they get captured by Hydra, and Steve Rogers actually fails to save them. And I was like, damn. But it was one of those what if moments.
Wait. Wait. So that's what happened. So that was Steve Rogers' crew, and then so the other Howling Commandos is like with Blade in them. Is that what you're telling me?
Basically, yeah. What we saw in the film was kind of like the. Well, think of it like a prequel to them, because they're essentially they're more than four dudes. What we got to see was like the most popular four dudes, and Mutton Chops being the main one.
Is Mutton Chops the werewolf?
No.
God damn it.
No.
What is Mutton Chops?
Well, as far as I haven't read too much of the Howling Commandos. All I know, actually, you know what? He might be the werewolf.
I mean, it only makes sense. He has mutton chops. What else would he be? Unless he's a fish, but that's some hairy gills.
No, that's not him. Well, because I've only ever seen the Howling Commandos so many handful times, like a specific handful amount of times, and I always see Mutton Chops front and center as himself. Like I don't see him change form. I don't see him as anything else. So I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, Agent Carter actually makes appearances in Howling Commando several times.
Oh, okay. I think I know, cause I forgot what it was, like an animated movie of Doctor Strange. It was Doctor Strange and the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
It was like a Halloween special thingamajig.
Well, because how would I describe it? Have you ever seen? I wouldn't call them the Suicide Squad of Shield, but Shield kind of calls them whenever they don't want to call the Avengers. So essentially, think of it this way: the way
The Teen Titans.
The way the chain of command goes is that usually Romanoff did all the fucking work for Shield before they actually got Steve Rogers out of the ice. And essentially, Steve Rogers came out of the ice and they were ready to make the Avengers. Like they didn't even hesitate to fill in Steve Rogers what the fuck happened while he was gone. Like Tony Stark was the one that said, "Okay, you know what? Let's get him up to speed. Let's get him out of the ice." Because I think they initially, the Avengers was the reason why Captain America came out of the ice and why he was put into the ice in the first place. Because Stan Lee already made all these other characters, and he said, "Why don't we put them together?" And then basically they were saying, "Who's going to be the leader?" Because we can't have Iron Man in the spotlight. We can't have Bruce Banner be in the spotlight. We can't have Thor be in the spotlight. We can't have Hawkeye be in the spotlight. We can't have Giant Man be in the spotlight. Because Giant Man was made just for the Avengers, by the way. Because we already had Hank Pym. But Hank Pym chose to stay as Giant Man in his endeavors with Avengers because basically Hank Pym was like, alright, so being tiny is not going to really help if we have Romanoff. So we already have someone who can get inside. Basically, we need a bigger distraction. Womp. Mega Chunkus. So, Scott Lang staying in giant mode the entire fight of Endgame is actually a reference to Giant Man. If you were to ever think, how come he doesn't go back to normal size? That's why. And
I just kind of figured, like, for some reason he gets like some kind of strength buff, whether he's Giant Man or even small.
Well, see, here's the way how it works. The way that the Pym particles function to a specific molecular structure is that apparently what it does is that molecules exist within your body and within an organism. So what Pym particles do is they basically alter the genetic code and change your size. So it doesn't. Think of it as like. Have you ever seen those planters blocks, like those green planters things that they have like for the plants or the roses when you put them inside and they make that crunchy sound? Like those green little cubes?
I think so, yeah. It's like a styrofoam thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like styrofoam, kind of.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, when you put them in water, you can let them soak and they'll usually grow. But if you basically crush them with your hands, they essentially shrink. You can make them smaller and you can also change their shape. So agent of the water and your hands being able to change its shape is what the pin particle does to your molecular structure. Now, with that said, everything that was put into that Plantes block remains the same. The only thing that changes is the shape. That's what the pin particles do. So essentially, the strength you have when you were basically normal size is the same amount of strength you have when you're tiny. But also, apparently, the way ants work is that when you shrink and you have such sheer amount of strength, they are multiplied. So, therefore, not only do you have the strength you had when you were initially normal size, but you have the increased strength because of your size change. So the way gravity works, if you were faster than the average person because you are tiny, because you can supposedly bugs can react, and this is supposed to be fact. Bugs can react to your actions faster because they are smaller than you. So with that said, with the same amount of speed and reaction time, and the normal amount of strength that you have, but in a tiny hindsight, basically that's what allows them to have superhuman strength. So the fact that tiny ass Hank Pym or Scott Lang can flip you when they're tiny as hell, that's why. Because they're faster and they have the same amount of strength, but since they're smaller, they're able to achieve it faster and faster than you can react to. And we only see that a handful of times. We only ever see Scott do it like 4 times to actually flip somebody. Most of the times he just grows back to normal size and just punches you out of nowhere, which it looks cool, but at the same time it kind of takes away the whole using science to your advantage thing. It's more like a now you see me, now you don't, now you see me gimmick. I don't know. That's just me. I'm not too sure how they shoot it though, because that shit looks amazing the way they shot it. And I mean, the style of the Ant-Man films, they were good. We were originally gonna have Edgar Wright direct to those films, and if it wasn't for Edgar Wright, we wouldn't even see Scott Lang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all. Because I believe around the time the third Iron Man movie came out, Edgar Wright pitched the idea of making the Ant-Man film. So we had the Incredible Hulk, we had Iron Man 2 give more prenaps into we're gonna have the Avengers become a thing, because we had General Thunderbolt Ross come in, we had Nick Fury come in, we had Dr. Selvig come in, we had more characters brought about, we had Agent Carter come in, more popular figures in the SHIELD division, basically. Then boom, we had Avengers come out, and we saw no Hank Pym. And it initially was Edgar Wright's idea to go, hey, how come we don't have any Hank Pym involvement? We should have that. And I think around the time they were shooting Iron Man 3, Kevin Feige was like, you know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea. We should have Hank Pym be involved somehow. Because we want to be able to have the full Avengers be together, because we want to have more characters involved. And then with the Russo brothers basically starting up the whole Captain America thing, because their format for their films are really good. Like the Winter Soldier was fucking beautiful. Like the Winter Soldier was really the MCU really took off. How well did you think of the Winter Soldier? Because Iron Man 3 was really good, and then the reason why people don't remember it too much is because it was followed up by something that was pretty bad, which is Thor: Dark World.
Oh, well, I was gonna say with Iron Man 3, it seemed pretty cool, but then again, like the whole villain thing, kind of lackluster. Especially because like when I found out, like, because I think I was talking to you about it, and it's just like you said, it's like, they made the Mandarin a joke. I'm like, what? And I looked it up. I'm like, oh, they did. Why?
Oh yeah, I told you, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I'm like I don't understand why they would do such a thing, and I think I saw like another animated film like with the Mandarin. I'm like, the Mandarin's kind of badass, so why did they do that?
Mandarin is really badass, and that is the only time we ever see Tony Stark and Stephen Strange actually really bond before the Infinity Saga. and the Mandarin essentially has the whole rings, because the rings are another power source basically. The Infinity Stones are one thing, but we also have the rings, and the 7 rings. Oh boy.
So
That's
basically, they really fucked that character.
Yeah. I mean, unless they bring him back somehow, because we are gonna have a separate Doctor Strange film, and he is confirmed to be the recurring character from the previous Phase 4 of Marvel Cinematic Universe that will appear in the new Spider-Man film.
So he is gonna
It's
be in the
confirmed that
film.
Doctor Strange. Yeah, and it only makes sense that there will be a whole multiverse thing. I mean, the movie is fucking called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse.
Oh yeah, and they're kind of like joke, well, like kind of hinting at it in the last Spider-Man movie. They just kind of made it a joke, like, oh, he's not actually from it, but everyone knew it was coming.
Oh yeah, it's like there are more than just our own universe. And they're like, what?
What?
And then they had the whole involvement with the scrolls with the MCU. I don't know how to feel about that.
Why?
Well, they portray the scrolls to be integral to apparently hiding, and yeah, that's what they're good at. Like that's really what they're good at. They're good at adapting and they're good at copying. But the fact that Nick Fury trusts them so much, I don't know about that part. Like, I understand the whole relation that he had with Carol Danvers and the whole thing of Carol Danvers now trusting the scrolls. I think that's a too stretch for it, because I guess because he's a human, and he's like, well, if she trusts them, I trust them. I'm not saying they shouldn't be trusted, but I feel like they really also kind of dumbed down their role in the whole Marvel universe in general, because essentially one really big villain that we get to see in the Fantastic Four comics is Super Skrull. And
Oh yeah.
Super Skrull essentially copies all the Avengers, and I don't remember too much, but I know he's supposed to be like the last Skrull, and he's the one that's leading the Resistance. So I'm like, wait. So when I saw Captain Marvel, I was like, wait, is this Super Skrull? Like, is this him? And I was like, I don't think so. He doesn't. He only. This is a very primal stage, a very very early stage of Super Skrull. But is this him? I don't know.
Also, speaking on Captain Marvel, I felt like that movie was just, it wasn't really relevant and that important for this phase.
It was bad. I'm just gonna say
It,
it.
yeah, it was.
I
Yeah, it
say it
wasn't
was
great.
bad because like if we were really to talk about its relevancy to the actual Phase 4, it connected dots. Yes, it did. It did connect dots.
But not even a lot though. It was just a little bit.
It connected the dots as to why several times Nick Fury or Maria Hill didn't die, basically. Because basically
Yeah.
they had a lot of scrolls that basically doubled as them, and I'm like, that's kind of lame. But I mean, all right.
But also brought up the question, it's like, well, how many times when we've seen them in other movies, like, was it actually them? Or
That's
was it ever actually them?
that was the whole point of. I think that's why they put that scene into the end of Spider-Man: Far From Home, because they were like, okay, now we want you guys to go back. I think it's also like a little gimmick for you to understand like behavior patterns of the characters in the previous films. Because if you look back at Age of Ultron, the Nick Fury hardly did anything. Like he hardly did anything. All he did was just say, "I exist," and then at some point, "I brought a ship," and then the next moment, "I have a gun," and that was it. I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah. I mean, very true. Very true, Nick Fury. You do all those things. I mean, and the whole coming back from the whole Hydra leak, I don't think Nick Fury would have risked being on Earth at that moment, because basically he had so many targets on him. The only reason why he had a target on his head. He didn't give a shit. He boxed the shit out of you. Which is one thing I really appreciate about how they really treat Steve Rogers' character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The key line, I can do this all day. You really can. You really can. That's his superpower. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It's just metabolism. It's literally just he doesn't get tired. He just keeps going and going and going. And one thing that I watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff or little like documentary stuff. And whenever they have Stan Lee like actually give reviews of films, one thing that he mentioned and the Russo brothers like, even also mentioned as well, so that way I can't tell that they're just joking about it or lying about it, was that when in the first Captain America, the first Avenger film, when he is in the theater and he basically gets bullied and he gets taken outside and he has a little fight in the alley, when they start like pushing him around and then they start throwing shit at him and he uses the trash can lid as a shield.
Yeah.
Apparently fucking Stan Lee was like clapping like a madman, and he said like he really liked that, and the whole the recurring line of "I can do this all day," he said that really stuck with him. And yeah, that's
Just imagine you're filming that scene, and then Chris Evans just does that, and then you get fucking Stan Lee just clapping up a storm and everything in the middle of the scene and just going hysterical, and the director's like,
he was like, wait a minute.
"Cut."
he's all like, wait a minute. Did my nephew Sticky Note actually made it into the script? Because I mean, it isn't a symbol. It isn't a huge symbol besides him. Oh look, he's using a blunt object to basically, like, to basically.
Just blatant foreshadowing.
Wait, hold up. Oh, fix your volume. Am I low?
No, I think maybe too high.
Am I too loud?
Too high, right? Yeah, that's what I figured. Because anytime I talk, like my voice thing is. Oh wait, too low. Never mind. His is too low. I thought mine would have been too low.
Okay, how about now? How am I now? Damn. All right. Okay, how about now?
Wait, but mine's fine?
No, yours is fine. Yeah, we had Jacob like basically give his input about how you sounded.
But that's so weird because like when I look at the bar thing, like mine's a lot lower, but yours is like fucking peaking right now.
I'm very confused as well. Do believe me? I'm not even anywhere near the yellow range. So I'm very confused. But you know, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
as I was saying, yeah, the whole trash can thing. I'm confused too. Be sounding mega low. Well, thank you for pointing that out. The whole trash can thing. It was obviously foreshadowing, yeah, but Stanley was basically saying that, oh, well, it embodies the whole person that he is. As much as he's in a corner, he's not willing to basically just curl up in a fetal position and just go ahead and just take everything to the face. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but the whole I could do. Oh, because he had the shield, he blocks it, then he drops it to the ground, and then he says, "I can do this all day."
It would have been a really funny moment for like, you know, how he holds it, everyone's just foreshadowing like, ah, we get it, because he's gonna be Captain America. And instead of just blocking, he just grabs it and starts wailing the shit out of the guy and hitting him over the head with it.
Or imagine he just like he throws it, but he throws it in the sky, and then he just grabs the gun, or just like, pulls out a gun and just shoots him.
It just pistol whips the shit out of him.
Well, when he's shown destroying different Hydra bases with the Howling Commandos, he is shown using a gun.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And everyone goes, "Oh my God, Steve Rogers using a weapon? What?" I'm like, well, if you guys really knew, pre-Ice Steve Rogers was not afraid to use a weapon. If anything, he actually preferred to be strapped. Like that was the whole point of him having that was the reason why he had the shield he had.
I
The
mean, because
whole
in reality, he's a military man, so why wouldn't he?
yeah, and the shield that he had, the shield he had when he was the Star Spangled Man with a plan, the when he was like the propaganda,
Yeah.
little dicky pointy shield, that was the initial shield he had. That was the shield he used. The vibranium shield came after. The vibranium shield was introduced by Mr. Tony Stark. Howard Stark had given him like some weaponry, but it wasn't initially the round shield. Basically, he modified his current shield to basically be a little bit more durable, and he was able to actually cut through things. So basically, he would be able to break open a door.
You mean like in the comics?
Yeah. So have you ever seen like in the comics where he like, it's always showing him breaking open a door and just screaming like, ah, and he's just shooting blindly into the room or the building.
Nah, I don't remember.
Well, I think in the film too we see that where he like busts open a door and he has the Howling Commandos right behind him, and they're just unloading clips into the building. That's literally what he did. Basically, he just busts open a door, goes in, and just goes balls to the wall. And the shield was just used as a blunt object. That's what he used it for. He didn't have the idea of throwing it up until Stan Lee thought, why did he just throw it? Because yeah,
check that shit.
it was Stan Lee in the late 70s that thought, why don't we just have him throw it? Because I think we did see Steve Rogers use it to like stop doors, but we never saw him actually use it as an actual projectile. And it wasn't until Stan Lee said, what if he throws it and then basically it gets stuck in place? Usually that's what it was. He would throw it, it would either ricochet off a wall and come back to him, or it would get lodged. You know the way a batarang works, like the way they use batarangs, like basically Bruce Wayne throws it and then they get pinned on the wall and they can't move anymore.
Yeah,
It's same thing here. He initially wanted to be like for the person to be able to be stopped that way, and then at some point Stan Lee was like, okay, so like what if he's able to actually hit multiple enemies and it still comes back? And they're like, okay, Stan, you've been in the red room for too long. You've been in the processing room for too long. You've been drinking too much brandy. You need to stop. Because he's like, no, I'm onto something, I swear. But it was initially hit, and when they asked him what makes it come back, he's like, don't worry guys, I got this. Future sight. And they're like, what the actual fuck? And he's like, he has so much fighting experience with his shield. When he throws it, he knows exactly where it's going to land and where it's going to come back. And people are like, huh? And he's like, if you were to drive the same car for 20 years, you know exactly what makes the car tick and how to use the car and whether you fit in a very tight spot or not. That is the same logic Steve Rogers has with the shield, which technically it makes sense.
Well, I mean, it is an actual thing because it's like referencing like with sports and everything. There's a basketball player from like the 60s, I think. His name was Bob Pettit, and I'm pretty sure it was him. I saw this video saying that like during this time, like when he played, he was such a great rebounder is because he studied the ball like as it was shot, like where it hit on the rim, the spin on it, and so like from that, what type of reaction the ball would have, and he would just simply just place himself in that position to get the rebound. So it's like that is definitely a possible thing to happen. It's like doing something over and over and just studying that like little tendencies it has. So it's like really it's a tendency thing, and seeing how things react and just understanding that it's like okay, I just need to stand right here when it hits right there.
I think I'm having some type of a ground looping. We're fine.
Oh yeah.
All right. It stopped. Thank God. Thank God.
So we kind of jumped ahead because we were Captain America. We
We were Captain America, and then we jumped to
talked
Avengers.
over
We
a little
worked our way
bit.
up to Winter Soldier.
It's like we we just completely skipped Thor: Dark World because like we're not even gonna touch that one.
We were like Thor: Dark World was lame. Winter Soldier was amazing. Also Ant-Man. Also Captain Marvel towards the end of the entire Phase 4.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think I did watch Dark World, but I don't really remember it at all.
The only reason why I saw it myself was because Christopher Eccleston was in it. And this is when like I had just gotten into Doctor Who. And I was like, oh my God, it's the 9th Doctor. I have to watch this movie. And then I saw it, I was like, I wish I didn't spend money to watch this movie. It was just so bad. I mean, granted, we did get to see more of Heimdall. Like, we actually got to see more of Heimdall here, and Idris Elba was very upset with how his character was being portrayed. And he said that Thor: Dark World was a little bit better to him, but where he really played a super huge role was obviously in Ragnarok and Infinity War, where he basically had his warrior's death. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, because Heimdall has no real like purpose with Thor himself. He's really important in Asgard, but in terms of Thor's life, not that much. Oh, sorry. And like, I don't know. I feel like we didn't get to see too much of the other characters that are actually important in Thor's life. Because obviously we got to see Jane. Obviously we got to see more of Dr. Selvig. Obviously we got to see more of Loki. But like, I don't even remember if we got to see more of Lady Sif or if we even got to see more of the Warriors 3. Like, it was just kind of just basically about Thor himself. Because the first Thor actually deals with banished Thor. I don't know if you ever heard about that story.
Yeah, because he was just basically banished. He wasn't living up to the expectations.
Banished Thor actually came by a whole lot later in the Marvel world. Banished Thor was something that was supposed to be reminiscent of the 80s, because you can even tell, like, in this little small town that they had Thor take place in, it was also a reference in the comics, because basically it was around the 80s when they made Thor a little bit more with the times. So basically right after the Avengers had already formed, at some point Thor basically became very buddy with the Avengers for reals. Have you ever, like, I've only known because of cartoons, but wasn't basically Hawkman in Justice League like supposed to be very regal? Or was it Aquaman that was very regal?
It was more of Aquaman because he's literally royalty. I'm pretty sure. I remember
in the Justice League.
show.
The Justice League, there was always that separation because they all had their titles. Like, I'm talking about the actual Justice League from the comics and the TV shows and cartoons. Because in the original Avengers, Thor was like the typical, like, by Odin's beard, oh, I'm a god, I will rain down wrath from the heavens, like very Shakespearean basically. And
Right.
when he was banished, that was when he really became a little bit more serious about, I guess, Earth life. And he was like, I am a god, but I've been dwelling with humans for too long. I understand what it means to be not a god. And that was the whole point of the Thor film too, kind of. But
I've been here for a minute and I realize I'm an asshole.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of Jane. Like, Jane is the reason why he acts the way he acts afterwards. And I mean, There's Justice League movie. We don't talk about that. We do not. We do not talk about that. I mean, ask Joe right here. He's the DC expert.
Quote
Do we,
unquote.
do we talk about it, Joe?
We talk about it a little here and there, but just to complain about it. That's it.
We hate to love it, but we love to hate it. That is
Yeah.
that is the only thing we're gonna say about that. But yeah, Banished Thor was supposed to be a more modern take, and then Thor: Dark World was just kind of just a mess. Because I think that was just supposed to deal with the plague, the dark plague, the elves. It's kind of weird. And we already talked about Winter Soldier. Guardians of the Galaxy, that was supposed to be the actual introduction of the Infinity Saga integration. Because we did have Thor and we did have Avengers kind of kick off the Infinity Stones. But we had no real reason to care more about it up until the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it wasn't supposed to be that much of a benevolent presence up until then, because we were like, okay, now we're talking about space. Because Thor was always just jumping back and forth between Asgard and Earth, so it was still Earth for us. But Guardians of the Galaxy gave us a whole different view of that shit. And then Age of Ultron was just to showcase how much, like, really the Avengers care more about not only Earth, but also about life in general. Because that's the whole point of Ultron, to question what is human, what is not human, what is worthy of living, what is not worthy of living. And then we have Ant-Man right after that, and that was a whole different show. That was just to showcase even more technology that was integrated to SHIELD. And just how strong or how cool it is to be a science person besides being Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. And I like to think that they just, I don't know. I don't know why they chose Scott Lang. I don't know why they chose Paul Rudd, but I do love Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. I hands down. He is an absolute marvel. Haha. Yes, he is an absolute marvel at the role of Scott Lang.
In hindsight, it might work out because if they actually involve Deadpool, since they have the rights to him now, just imagine the comedy between him and Ant-Man.
Oh, well, Scott Lang is Scott Lang, but there is an actual asshole Ant-Man. And it's not Scott Lang. It's another iteration of Ant-Man that also has the same backstory of Scott Lang. And his name is Eric O'Grady.
Oh, he just sounds like an asshole.
He is an asshole. Like there's one panel where he when he first uses the suit, the first thing he does is that he goes and he stares like at his like, I don't know if it was some ex or it was just some girl taking a shower. Basically, he was like peeping on her.
Hey.
And I was like, what the fuck? So, I'm not saying I'm glad they picked Scott Lang instead of Eric O'Grady, but I'm just glad they included Ant-Man in general. But when I was saying earlier about having Edgar Wright, was if it wasn't for him we wouldn't have Ant-Man. He was just really like, I don't know if he's an actual Ant-Man fan, but he really wanted to have Ant-Man. Do you know who Edgar Wright is?
No, I don't.
He is a pretty cool and innovative visual effects director, like visual effects based director. You might know him for his works on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, okay.
He directed Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, and he was also like helping with some of the visuals on there too. So imagine Ant-Man, but with like Scott Pilgrim visuals.
I don't know. I feel like, well, it's probably just from seeing Ant-Man, but like, I feel like it doesn't fit if it was Scott Pilgrim visuals.
I don't think it would fit because Scott Pilgrim is more video game, I guess, related rather than comic book related.
Yeah.
Like it feels more video game heavy, like more video game influenced than comic book influenced. But essentially, I don't know what happened, but there was a falling out with Marvel Studios and Edgar Wright, and Ant-Man came into play, but not with Edgar Wright as the director. I was like, ah. But I mean, he did create a buzz, and we did get Ant-Man. So thank you, Edgar Wright, for both Scott Pilgrim and Ant-Man. But I don't know. Kevin Feige has been released, like it's been shown lately that Kevin Feige is a very pushy and rather threatening individual, aka a douchebag.
Also, I never knew that's actually how you pronounce his last name. I just pronounce it as Feige.
Feige?
Feige.
Well, I pronounce it Feige only because my dad does, and I'm so used to it. It could be Kevin Feige, but I'm so used to saying Kevin Feige, Kevin Feige, Kevin Feige. Maybe Kevin knows how to pronounce it because maybe there's like a whole like Kevin convention.
Okay.
Where they all just meet up and he's there. And Kevin's like, I mean, yeah, I didn't go this month, but I'll go next month.
It's a monthly thing.
Yeah, it's a monthly thing. Because if they were going every week, all the Kevins would lose their minds. Oh, it comes with a name. That's the reason why people say that Kevin Feige is a douchebag, because he has no patience. I guess it just comes with the name. Kevin, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But it's true. Either way, you know what else is true? A statement like that would a statement like that would cause a civil war, which it happens to be the film that takes place right after Ant-Man. Whoa! Now, we had so many internal conflicts that it didn't ever occur to me. Holy crap! Are we actually going to see Civil War for reals? Because Civil War takes place like way after the Infinity Saga is over. And
yeah, I remember you getting all hyped about it.
Civil War?
No, yeah, about Civil
I
War,
was
but then also at
super
the same
fucking
time
hyped.
wasn't sure how they were gonna do it because what the actual story was. And
I
like,
was super
is someone
fucking
gonna
hyped.
die?
I was hyped and scared of this. Yeah, because I told you that Captain America dies in the original Civil War. Steve Rogers passes, and then
Does he get shot, right?
yeah, he gets blown up, literally. Like,
Blown up. I saw that he got sniped.
Yeah, he gets. Well, he takes a shot and then he's bleeding out and then he gets blown out. He gets shot
Because
by,
I saw the
I forgot who.
I don't know who he got shot by, but not that I didn't see that he got blown up because like I actually saw like the comic panel of
and it
like
showed
him
Tony
lying in the
Stark-
bed.
Yeah, him lying in the bed and Tony Stark is
Yeah.
holding him. Yeah.
Yeah. When's he blow up then?
Well, no, he took an explosion to like the ass.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you really think a bullet's gonna stop Steve Rogers?
Depending what type of bullet.
Because he did get sniped, but I think he got like shot in the shoulder. But like he kept going, and that was to showcase like Steve Rogers' true metabolism, because he does. Homeboy doesn't stop.
Well, I mean, if you think about it this way, like if in terms of like with Superman, if you shoot him with like a kryptonite bullet, then he's gonna slowly get weakened. So I would say if like with Captain America, if he gets shot with like some type of bullet that basically deteriorates the super soldier serum, then
No, it wouldn't deteriorate his serum. It would just something that
Or
would actually
counteract
really
it.
like something that would really make him feel actual super pain. Because if he takes a bullet, all he's gonna do is shrug it off. Like the metabolism, it's also functions as adrenaline. So if you were to get shot, you won't notice you would get shot until like 3 minutes later, and that's the average person. So think about Steve Rogers in that instance. He won't notice he got shot until like, I don't know, I guess a whole month after.
a whole month later it's like, ah, what happened?
Like he takes a shit.
I think I got shot, but it closed already.
He like lays down on the couch and the bullet falls out. He's like, oh, so that's what it was. So
That's why I've been feeling like I need a shit this whole month.
Or he's getting a massage, and then basically like they massage out the bullet, and he's like, oh, I feel like something just popped out, And then they're like, Mr. Rogers, the bullet came out. Oh, so that's what that was. Okay. That'd be funny. Marvel Studios, you can add us if you want to make another animated series. Super kick in the balls, basically. If he took a super kick in the balls, I would imagine that's exactly what would happen.
Nah, my question is it to like one specific side, like just one nut, or like you split right down the middle, or he's gonna take two individually?
Dude, if you go right down the middle, you'll be doing like the trifecta, because you'll be hitting the left nut, the right nut, and the taint.
If you go that deep, yeah. Unless if it's just like a little flick, like
If you go that deep,
when
you're getting the chocolate starfish as well. You're getting like a perfect square.
you know, if you hit someone like right, you kick someone like right in the taint, like right in the perfect spot, you make a poop.
That sounds absolutely horrid, and I wish you didn't put that image in my head.
I'm gonna put it in your head because it's
Oh
either
my
you want to try it on
God.
someone, or you're afraid someone's gonna try it on you.
Oh.
So just don't eat anything around me.
Oh my shit. Now you're building your chair on your own. I don't want to be like, all right, so Joe, pass me the wrench. Pass me the They're gonna be like, he shit on my foot, but it was worth it.
Clip it for the Dongcast TikTok that's gonna come up at some point. All right, guys, I'm here with Mark. He just shit himself because I kicked him.
Oh God, no. Pee pee poo poo check. This guy definitely poo pooed. God, no. Oh. Doctor Strange and the multi shit and the multi poop.
Multi shit.
Brad Pitt stars in Blade 7, The Poop Kick. Wait, would you be surprised if Brad Pitt ever joins the superhero universe?
What do you mean?
Okay, so see it this way. The most popular people that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was Benedict Cumberbatch, probably John Freeman, and Samuel Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, and Josh Brolin, Jeff Goldblum, Benicio del Toro. Some of them were not even like main characters. Who else?
I mean, because Brad Pitt technically was in Deadpool too.
What? Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was the Invisible Man.
Oh my God.
I remember like seeing the list. I'm like, why is his name on there? And I forgot who it was. Like they saw it before me, and then they told me about it. I'm like, what? So I was watching the movie. I think I actually missed him. Like I never fucking saw him. So I had to look at YouTube. I'm like, oh, that was him. Oh, that's funny.
That's fucking stupid.
Comes in, does a scene, and leaves.
Literal, dude. Literal. Who else oh, well, Paul Rudd, obviously. Michael Douglas. Would you consider John Slattery to be that famous?
Probably not, because I don't know who that is.
He was the one that was casted as Howard Stark. Like the older Howard Stark.
Oh.
And he's actually from Mad Men. He's Mr. Sterling Cooper himself. If you don't know what that is, from Mad Men,
What?
It involves one business that Don Draper, which is John Hamm, he works for that company, Sterling Cooper.
Can we get John Hamm in the MC universe?
I imagine they actually put him as Mr. Fantastic.
That would be interesting.
Everyone wants John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and I would think that's a really good idea.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Because he's like at the, I feel like he seems like at that right age where he's not like too old for like the
And
next
then-
phase, but not
then-
too
then you
young.
could-
What they try doing.
You get the 2-for-1 package. You get him and his amazing wife, Emily Blunt, to be Invisible Woman.
Who's Emily Blunt again?
His wife.
I know, but I have to look at what she looks like.
She's in The Quiet Place with him, and she's also the new Mary Poppins.
Oh, her, right?
Yeah, that's his wife. So they can actually get both of them to be Reed Richards and Susan Storm.
Would be interesting. Well, who else would you like consider casting as Susan Storm though?
Susan Storm? Well, of course, John Krasinski would be a good Reed Richards. It's someone that would be good at doubling for John Krasinski, Reed Richards. I would say... Fuck, Margot Robbie's already taken.
It'd just be kind of weird if she was...
Or you know what? Actually...
the actual character in the Marvel Universe.
Actually, you know who?
Who?
And it's kind of dumb, but Alison Brie.
Alison...
The girl from Glow. I don't know if you ever seen that show.
No, I haven't.
Have you seen Community?
I haven't.
I'm trying to remember what else she's from. Have you seen the movie where Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler have like a casino in their house?
Nope.
Oh my god, you're making this incredibly hard for me.
Because I looked her up. I'm like, I think I've seen her before, but yeah, anything that she's been in, I haven't really seen.
I could see Alison Brie as Susan Storm maybe, because I don't want to go the typical put a blonde person, because take a look at Jessica Alba. I think she was an okay Susan Storm. Of course,
wait, are you saying this? Are you saying this because she voiced Black Widow in Marvel's Avengers Academy?
Alison Brie?
Yeah.
She did?
Yeah, she did. She voiced her.
Oh.
She was also in Men. Okay, she was she was Unikitty in Lego Movie.
Yeah, that I know.
Is there anything about...
I think she was also in the Lego Batman movie too.
No, I didn't see that come up. American Dad. Oh, it's probably just one episode. Robot Chicken.
I think she's
Green
like
4.
I think she has a thing with Dave Franco right now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's married to him.
Like Hannah Montana.
Actually, yes, she was.
There wasn't anything that I really saw that she was in and I watched really, so I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Wait, she was... Oh, she was in Mad Men. You're right. She was Trudy. Oh my god, Trudy. In terms of women, I'm sorry to say, but people only remember, obviously, Little Peggy and then Christina Hendricks, because Christina Hendricks thick as fuck.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, I don't know who else could be Susan Storm. I really don't know who else could be Susan Storm. I'll be brutally honest. Because in that case, who would you cast as Johnny Storm? I know who. Chris Evans.
I was gonna say, can we get Chris Evans back? Because technically Captain America, he's aged now.
They bring him back, but he's like old ass Johnny Storm.
Yeah. Did you watch the rebooted? Well, I can't say rebooted, but like the rebooted Fantastic Four movie
with Miles Teller? No, I have not actually. Michael B. Jordan.
I didn't watch it, but it's like I only want to watch it because I want to see what they did. But like the casting seems interesting.
I don't
And it's
like
like,
it. I really don't like it. I'll be honest with you. It's interesting to see Miles Teller as Reed Richards, but everyone else just seems off.
like, especially with the Michael B. Jordan, not even like race or anything, but it's just like, but how are they gonna like? Cause wait, hold on.
The connection with Susan Storm and also Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, how did they do that? Also, they just totally ignored it. It was like, okay, that's fine, but it's like being realistic. Like anyone would kind of ask, like, how?
Gemini Man, but with Captain America. Beautiful. I ship it. I stan it.
I mean,
let's make it happen. I mean, that's
it could be just
that's basically what's gonna happen in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Disney Plus series. It's basically what's gonna happen. It's gonna be Gemini Man. I can already guarantee you, because the whole interaction between John Walker and Sam Wilson and Bucky, it's gonna just lead up to Steve Rogers somehow being involved again. I can already tell you that. Also, I'm not digging this music. Let's change it up.
I can't hear it because I have it muted so I can not hear double.
We're heading into like vaporwave area.
Oh,
I feel like we should, yeah, I feel like we should be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok right now.
Yeah, well, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Not that long after Doctor Strange, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
only reason why I considered John Freeman to also be a popular actor that was used in the MCU was because both him and Benedict Cumberbatch were Sherlock Holmes and Watson in the BBC Sherlock show. And I never watched it, but dear Lord, like I thought it was, I don't think it was bad, because I think I watched the pilot and it was okay, but the fan bases take things to a whole nother level sometimes. Another show that falls into that category and that same precinct, Supernatural.
oh, I couldn't get into that show.
I don't think it's bad. I never got into it, but people just make it sound like it's the most immaculate show on the planet.
One time, like my cousin stepped over and it's just like I had Netflix, so he's like, "Oh, can we watch Supernatural?" Like I need to catch up. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "I've heard about it," and then he played it. So I asked him like, because I forgot where he started. I think it was like season 4. It was picking up in season 4 or something like that. I'm like, for me to understand what's going on, do I really need to watch everything else? He's like, kind of, but not really. And it's like, I don't really understand what's going on, but it's like, even then, like, just the episodes themselves, like, what I was watching, I think we watched like a whole fucking season, and I'm like, this just did not interest me at all. I don't know how people watch this.
Yeah, I watched the pilot with my sister, and like the entire time we were just laughing. We were just literally laughing the entire time. There was like the pilot had to deal with somebody being possessed and walking on the ceiling. Like it was supposed to be like a very Exorcist related thing, but we were just laughing the whole time. We couldn't take it seriously. Supernatural, more like Poopernatural. You know what? You need to stop, because you're gonna make Joe start talking about kicking people and making them poop again.
Yeah.
He's like, I should have kicked my cousin and make him poop and be like, I don't want to watch the show anymore. Nah, you're not into that shit anymore? Emphasis on shit.
Number 2.
Number 2 pencil. Talking about number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What do you think of that one?
I liked it. I think when I initially watched, well, so that's I think when I initially watched it, I felt a little bit disappointed because I thought like it was gonna be surpassing like the first one, but it was kind of like around the same. I don't know. Like I didn't feel like it was too much of a drop off. I was like, feels too much rainbow effects going everywhere, and nice soundtrack.
270s for your taste?
Kind of, but it's just like I felt like they forced too much of that, and like not so much of like, I can't say so much of the story, but like the build up to where they got like took a while, and then like it just like, hey, uh Peter Quill has like he's actually part celestial and he has all these badass powers, and then that's what I thought. I'm like, wait, if they put this so early, like what are they gonna do? Like, is he just gonna be normal again? Oh, he kills his dad and there goes his powers. I'm like, well, okay, well that just killed it. That killed up the whole buildup.
I think the emphasis was supposed to show that like Star-Lord will remain to be just a dude, because the purpose of Peter Quill's involvement in the Guardians is that he is the representative of Earth. Because the initial original Guardians, they were made to basically have some type of Avengers that existed in space, and Peter Quill was supposed to be the representative of Earth. And I think several other space creatures already existed. So Rocket Raccoon species existed before. The Flora Colossus, Groot, which is Groot species, Flora Colossus, those existed already before, and they were very hostile creatures. And Groot was the only sentient kind. So I think, I forgot who started the group. I think it was Mantis. So Mantis was already part of the group before the Guardians even started. So she was the one who basically convinced everybody to remain as a group. And I don't know if you ever saw Infinity War, but there were like that little exchange of lines in the beginning where it's like, what are we even doing? Like Rocket Raccoon's like, what are we even doing again? And then Peter Quill's like, we're going around trying to pick up jobs and make the world a better place and try to pick up some money on the way. Like, in a way, that's kind of what they were. They weren't exactly mercenaries for hire. They were just like a police force that showed up out of nowhere, basically. Because they had uniforms. They have uniforms, all of them. What they wear in the movies, it's like casual wear, but in the actual comics, when they first started, they had uniforms. Which is something we actually see in every single video game that involves the Guardians now. Like in Marvel Super War, the MOBA that's available exclusively in the Aegis, a lot of the skins for the characters, specifically the Guardians of the Galaxy, are usually their uniforms. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. Usually every character has alternate colors that you can unlock inside the game by doing little challenges or just finding them randomly through drops. They do have one alternate costume. Every character has one. And for all the Guardians, they have their uniform as their alternate costume. So they're actually like a small, subtle police force, basically. So I feel like they didn't do too much justice in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I felt like it was just like a really, I don't know, lackluster excuse just to have them involved again. And just to make a... I don't want to say Baby Groot is a cash grab, but he totally is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I think Flora Colossus aren't extinct. Groot was just the only sentient one. Like, he was the only one that wasn't murderous. And I think at some point, I don't think Groot ever dies, but I think at some point Groot kind of just leaves on his own accord, like Chewbacca. He just decides to dip. And then they basically find Groot again, but he's like old. Like, he's a withering tree at that point. And he does sacrifice himself, just the same as in the first film. When he kind of makes like a huge cocoon around the Guardians. I think he does do that if I recall.
Yeah, in the movie he does.
Yeah, in the movie he does that, and I believe my cousin is the one who follows the Guardians a lot, and he was telling me that Drax has a lot more involvement than he does besides just being a big lumping talking oaf in the films. And don't get me wrong, Dave Bautista is a very interesting pick for Drax, and he fits the character and he fits their version of the character very well. But yeah. I don't know. I feel it's still lackluster, and the sequel just didn't really do much for me.
It just kind of turned into more of like this big strong character, but more comedic relief. Because in the comics, he's more powerful than he is in the actual MCU, right?
No, yeah, he definitely is more powerful. He is
So like when I
actually
found that out, I was like, oh, that's disappointing.
he's related to Thanos.
Right. Yeah. And then when I saw that, I was like, why do they make such like a big like gap between him and Thanos? It's like he got his ass Drax got his ass kicked by Ronan. I mean, Ronan's supposed to be a really big player in the comics too, right?
Yeah, and actually, Drax is actually a mutant.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. You know where you want to know where he's from?
Or
Burbank.
wait, what?
Yeah, the original Drax the Destroyer. He's from Burbank. Look it up.
So what is this other one?
And he actually came out as a character in Iron Man. Because, like I said, a lot of the characters already existed in space, and the only ones that brought them together was the Mantis. Also, hi Kevin. Yes, I'm still talking. As you could see, I have a very big mouth, and it gets me in and out of situations and sometimes around things. But yes, the original Drax is actually a human mutant that is actually from Burbank.
It literally says in the wiki, character's origin story relates that Arthur Douglas was a human whose family was attacked and killed by supervillain Thanos. Needing a champion to combat Thanos, the being known as Kronos took Arthur's spirit and placed it in a powerful new body, and Drax the Destroyer was born.
Yep.
Powers included strength, resilience. So they just basically left that first part out, but just like, oh, this is Drax's planet, but Thanos came and killed everyone, so now he has vengeance.
Mm-hmm. Literally. April says hi. Hello, April. Wait, are you hosting? Or is it just a random hi?
Oh, I think he is. What's up? Because that explains why I got.
Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense because we're still streaming on Twitch, and he is, after all, hosting us still. So it would make sense that whoever's watching it would be also be watching Random Hyper Gaming.
Nice.
Cool.
Fucking Burbank. That's still it's so funny. Of all places, picks Burbank.
Of all, I mean, well, I wish I knew what to tell you.
Well, I mean, well, okay, that makes sense right now.
Well, it makes sense now because literally Disney Studios is in Burbank, but it's just funny to me when I first found that out because my cousin was the one who told me. He's like, dude, Drax is actually just a normal dude. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah, he's just a mutant that gets taken over. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's a dude from Burbank. And I'm like, you're fucking lying. And then I opened up, oh my god, he's from Burbank.
That's funny.
That is indeed funny. Almost as funny as Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because it was more of a comedy movie than a superhero movie.
It
God
was.
damn.
You think they fucked up the whole? Because I mean, eventually they. Well, I don't know if they are, but you would expect them to get more in detail or like talk more about like the Celestials and all that.
Well, yeah. You would expect that they would, but they didn't, and I'm surprised they didn't. But I'm assuming they're trying to do that with the whole Eternals now. But the Eternals are nowhere near to be close to the Celestials at that point.
The Eternals created by Celestials.
Some of them were. I think most of them were basically human though.
Because I was seeing something that
Most of them
the
are
Celestials created the Eternals to be like guardians or something like that.
Yes, they are guardians, and most of them were born from. They're like half human.
Hmm.
Most characters in Adventure Superheroes, geniuses, gods, aliens, some dude from Burbank.
I mean, at least it's something different than New York, because for some reason, every goddamn main hero from the Avengers was based in New York.
Yeah, we have Tony Stark who lives in Manhattan. We have Peter
Rogers
Parker
from the Bronx.
Queens. We have Rogers from Brooklyn. We have Bruce Banner, also from Brooklyn. We have the Fantastic Four reside in Chicago. Oh,
Is it Chicago?
No, Manhattan as well. Manhattan.
Yeah.
I think the Storms are from Chicago though.
Oh, okay.
No, Benjamin. Benjamin, the Thing.
Benjamin.
He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He has the accent, actually.
Yeah, he does.
He has the Boston accent. Hey, it's clobbering time. Park your car. Did you see that stupid ass commercial?
I don't know if I did.
It was Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl ad, and they had that one lady from SNL. I forgot her name, but she looks like Amy Poehler, but she's basically a smaller, older, fatter Amy Poehler, and also Chris Evans is in it too, and John Krasinski, because they're all from Boston. And it was supposed to be a car commercial, and John Krasinski's like trying to park in this really tight spot, and he's all like Chris Evans and the lady, they're like, "Oh, how's he gonna park?" He's like, "Yeah, you can't park your car there. It's too tight. You can't park." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll park my car." And he's like, "You gonna park your car?" "Yeah, I'll park my car." "Can't park there. It's too tight." "No, I'll park my car." And then like he gets off the car and it parks itself. He's like, "Yeah, I got self park." I'm like, what the fuck is this commercial?
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember seeing that now.
This is stupid. Wait, when can we have some guy from Miami named Florida Man with the power to throw alligators through Wendy's drive-through windows? I'll give you one thing, Diego. You have a very creative imagination. Very creative imagination. Florida Man. Wouldn't that basically be Eric O'Grady? I'm pretty sure he would do that. I mean, he's peeping at females through showers. I'm pretty sure he'd throw an alligator through a drive-through. Eric O'Grady, Marvel's original Florida Man.
You know what else was pretty creative? That Iron Spider-Man suit.
Oh my god. Stop. Too many times, references are too subtle, and I get it. There are references, they're callbacks. But, like, I don't know. I still don't know too much about the whole involvement with Tony Stark and Peter Parker. Like, it felt too...
That just kind of seemed forced, right?
It's way too forced. I mean, it's not bad. It works. I just really didn't like it.
Yeah.
The whole reasoning behind that was, I guess they just really wanted to have that father and son bond between Tony Stark and Peter Parker, and that was it was to kick off the whole Tony Stark wants to be a family man.
Yeah.
And Morgan Stark needs to happen. Like, that's the thing that does need to happen, just the same as Athena needs to happen, which is why we have Thor Love and Thunder coming up, which is, I'm assuming, is how the Love and Thunder literally means the bedroom with Jane Foster and Thor, because Athena needs to be born.
What I saw, well, yeah, because with that, I saw that this is the arc where Jane is. Oh wait, no, was it Dark World was where she got infected with the thing, right?
Yeah, this was Dark World.
So I think this one,
Cancer.
Oh, yeah, the cancer where she becomes Lady Thor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I saw. Oh, is it just Thor?
Yeah,
oh, Lady Thor.
She becomes a Thor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Natalie Portman apparently confirmed that she's gonna be in the movie, and so that's what people are saying. And it's like, oh, this is the Lady Thor arc.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's what I was saying too. A lot of people were like, yeah, Athena's gonna be born, so I'm pretty sure Jane Foster's gonna come back. Because a lot of people were saying like, will Jane Foster come back? Blah 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 blah. Because Natalie Portman doesn't want to be involved, and the reason why Natalie Portman wasn't involved in Endgame was because she didn't want to be seen anymore, and they had to basically CGI a random person to be Natalie Portman in Endgame. I was like, she's gonna come back. There's no way she's not gonna come back.
Wasn't that
because when they said
dispute
Eternals
financially?
Supposedly, I don't even know. I don't remember too much. All I remember is that people were saying like Eternals is gonna happen. I was like, oh, yeah, she's coming back. And they're like, well, what makes you say that? I'm like, Athena needs to happen. I don't think Athena comes from the sky. Like she's clearly born from Jane Foster and Thor. So obviously there needs to be some love and thunder. Boom, Thor Love and Thunder. And then people are like, "Oh my god, she's coming back," and I'm like, "Oh my god, they're gonna make her the Thor because she still has the cancer." Watch. Natalie Portman is shown to be Thor, and it shows like Taika Waititi like handing her Mjolnir, and she's like holding up Mjolnir at Comic-Con. I'm like, I fucking said it, people, and they're like, "Oh shit, you were right." I'm like, "Yeah, I am right." I don't know how to feel about Angelina Jolie being Athena though.
Wait, what?
Angelina Jolie is Athena.
Is she?
Yeah, they confirmed it. They confirmed the entire cast for the Eternals.
I don't know that.
Yeah, they confirmed that, and they also confirmed Ursula Ali for Blade.
Huh.
Do you know who Ursula Ali is? Did you watch The Green Book?
No. How do you spell the name?
The Green Book? Ursula Ali? I don't even remember. Did you watch Alita Battle Angel?
Nope.
I'm surprised you haven't watched that one.
Nah, that one just didn't look interesting to me at all, honestly.
Well, it wasn't that good. But Ursula Ali was in the movie. I spelled it all wrong, but Mahershala Ali.
How do you spell it?
I got you, homeboy.
Oh, never mind. I see it. Okay, yeah, I spelled it. Oh,
He's gonna be Blade.
Why didn't you just fucking say from Luke Cage? What's his name? Cottonmouth.
He's in there?
Yes, he
I
plays
didn't finish watching
Cottonmouth.
Luke Cage.
That is the reason why I thought I was fine with watching the first season of Luke Cage, was because of this guy as Cottonmouth. Even though I don't know anything about Cottonmouth, he was just a really good fucking character.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Want a spoiler?
I
don't know why. I was gonna tell you anyway. He gets fucking stabbed with a microphone stand through his chest, through the window, off a balcony, and that's how he dies.
That's somewhat accurate.
It's done by.
I remember by the old Power Man series. That's what I think. He died a similar death.
Yeah, it's done by his sister.
Oh,
his
then
sister?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I mean, I haven't finished watching the show. I only watched the pilot, and I saw that one scene between him and Jessica, and I was like, oh,
dude, that's another thing, is that anytime they really display the power in that, or just anytime they show a sex scene, just something breaks.
It was something, all right. I mean, don't get me wrong, the girl who's Jessica Jones, oh my god, I drool. Like, I don't know, something about her, just like Aubrey Plaza too. I mean, she isn't a slice of heaven, but she just does something to my brain. I don't know what it is. Can we get Aubrey Plaza in the MCU?
Isn't she already?
No, sadly, no. Not yet. I hope they put her. You know?
What if she becomes Susan Storm?
Oh my god, I would hate that. I would absolutely hate that.
She's played like other characters I didn't realize was her. To be honest, like you ever watch The Interview?
Yes.
She's the one agent that they encounter at the beginning.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I saw a casting thing. Was it that? I think it was Christina. She told me. I was like, that's not Aubrey. And then I looked it up. I'm like, holy shit, it is. I didn't even realize that.
Well, The only thing I could see Aubrey possibly being, and maybe they could potentially work this in the future, is her being Betty Brant.
Who that?
She was slightly referenced a little bit, but I feel like they could take it somewhere. She is the secretary of J. Jonah Jameson. She's the Betty Banks bitch in the original Sam Raimi franchise with Tobey Maguire. She's the girl with the bowl cut hair. The secretary.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
And I think at some point, I think in Spider-Man 3, like he actually takes her out. I think, but she is a love interest of Peter Parker. Like she actually is. And I don't know if you saw, but in Far From Home, we did see J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And I'm glad that they brought J.K. Simmons for that.
But he's bald.
That's fine.
But he's bald. And
I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, no, I didn't care either, but I was like, And plus, it was like he was the one himself doing the news. I was like, wait a minute. I don't know.
Wait a minute.
I mean, we saw that there was a lot of integrations already, or potential setups for the Sinister Six already, with the new characters being introduced in all the new Spider-Mans. We already had Vulture. We already had Shocker. We already had Prowler. Although Prowler is not really counted, but we do have already like background for the Sinister Six. Prowler?
How is Prowler?
Childish Gambino. Childish Gambino.
Oh, right. You told me that.
Childish Gambino, the dude like, oh, I have ice cream in the trunk, dude. I got ice cream in the. I gotta see my nephew. His nephew is Miles Morales.
Right.
So they very casually mentioned Miles Morales right there.
But I don't think they would have used him. That character
they're not
as
gonna
Prowler.
They're not gonna use Miles Morales. They're not gonna use Childish Gambino for Prowler. I mean, it would be cool, but I doubt it. And yeah, we do have Scorpion too. It's only a matter before we get Dr. Connor.
Yeah.
But that would involve Peter already being in college.
Yeah, I like how they went back to just like, all right, he's a kid in high school. This is how it is. This is not. We're not gonna go through the Uncle Ben dying again and all that. It's like we already know what happened.
I don't like. I mean, this is very minimal, but I'll be honest with you. I really don't like Matt, and I really don't like Flash.
I do not like Flash. I'm like, why?
I mean, he does the Flash justice. Like they do the Flash. Like he acts like him. It just I don't see him, and I don't feel Flash. Like,
they just try to make it. I don't want to say progressive. It's just like, no, he's not just a jock. He could be a bully in this sense too. It's like,
and he's smart. Come on.
Yeah. The whole reason why Peter had an upper hand was because Flash wasn't smart.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. And I mean, to be honest, Flash is supposed to be a rival always. And considering Flash does encounter the symbiote after Peter does, so we do. Unless that's another reference of Flash being so involved with Peter Parker's life, is that they're going to eventually throw in the symbiote, because Flash doesn't have that much connection with Peter Parker. All Flash does is envy Peter Parker. Why? For one reason only: Mary Jane Watson. Literally, that's the only reason why Flash sticks around in Peter's life. So the fact that he's consistently always there, it's like either they give him the symbiote or stop wasting my time.
Pretty much.
Like, literally. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do like Tom Holland. I do like him. I just feel like they're taking their sweet time with it. I don't mind that either. But like, they're setting up too much stuff. I kind of just want them to just jump in already. Like, I'm tired of him being too insecure with himself and relying too much on Tony Stark. I'm already done with it. Come on, have a little bit more pep in your step. Mary Jane already knows who you are. There's no Gwen. Matt knows who you are. Your aunt knows who you are. Like, literally,
yeah.
The whole purpose of Spider-Man is already broken at this point. Might as well throw everything at him. Might as
That was
well.
something else. I was kind of like, hesitant on, because I was the whole time when I was watching, like, at what point are they gonna introduce Mary Jane? And it's just like, oh, this is MJ. I'm like, that, it's not bad, but just they really changed like what her character was.
No, yeah. I mean, I saw Zendaya and I was like, she's gonna be important, isn't she? And then they like, oh, MJ. I'm like, oh.
But like,
oh.
it fits with what they're doing in that film, and I guess in terms of that, that's fine, because it's really it's weird when they try to go for like, I don't want to say style, but I don't know, that's the best way I can describe it. But at the same time, they try to have accuracy with like characters, and like the way those characters are in like the comics, and the way they reference doesn't fit the style that they're going for. So at least they had something that worked for that, I guess.
No, I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like what they did with her trying to be a little bit more. Basically, they just. I wouldn't even say they try to make her be more independent. Or like rebel. She's just actually smart this time around. She's a little bit smarter.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and
Not an airhead dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that. I do like that Mary Jane is self-sufficient, but she kind of always was. Kind of. Like, as much as she was a little bit vulnerable, when it really came down to it, she really tried at least defending herself sometimes. And she's supposed to be at me, the airhead dumbass. Damn. Literally, I guess they wanted, I don't know, because MJ's supposed to be his emotional support. That's literally what she's there for. Like, the whole go get him tiger, it does a lot for Peter. Like, it really does. Like, it makes him feel secure, makes him feel like, you know what, things are gonna be okay. As much as he loses Mary Jane at some point,
it makes him feel a lot of things.
It makes spider senses are definitely tingling for that one. Definitely tingling for that one. But I mean, I don't know. Like, already from the very first film, from Homecoming, I could already tell that Mary Jane already knew that Peter was already Spider-Man. There was just no way. There was just no way. Like, unless I was like, are they really gonna make her that? Is this how they make her into an airhead? I was like, there's no way. And then when it just, by landslide, he just came out with it straight up in Far From Home, when she was like, oh, I wasn't even gonna say that you were a Spider-Man, but oh, I mean, it makes sense now. And I'm like, are you, is this how it okay. This
yeah,
is
so you just got lazy with it, is what you're telling us.
I don't know. I really don't know.
All right, within rankings of who played Spider-Man, just Spider-Man itself, how would you rank?
Don't make me go this route.
I'm doing it.
Go this route.
I'm doing it.
Okay. From the three that we have?
Yeah, because I don't know what other three we have.
Okay, here we go. In third place, Andrew Garfield.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
In second place, Tom Holland. In first place, Tobey fucking Maguire.
That's surprising to me. Why is that?
I'll tell you why. Andrew Garfield had a good sense of the really trying to be excruciatingly discreet about everything. He did not want to cause any waves. If you see, most of the time, Tobey Maguire had his fair share of swinging around the city and just being, woohoo, yeah, waha. It's like playing Super Mario 64 for the first time, just fucking long jumping everywhere. Wahoo, wahoo. Literally, he had his fair share of that. But Andrew Garfield just took that to a whole nother level, to the point where the director was like, we want this to be Peter Parker. We want Peter Parker to just be truly embracing of his actual spider side. We want him to be truly one with his himself as the web slinger. Tom Holland also does a good job of that, but Andrew Garfield was like Tom Holland was like, I'm an Avenger. He had that instillment in his mind the entire time. Like, I'm a superhero. Like, I'm an Avenger. I am meant to make the world a different place. Where Andrew Garfield's like, I just really want my city to be clean.
Mm.
And essentially, yeah, that makes sense. When we have the whole Gwen Stacy involvement and Captain Stacy, like, Peter Parker at that point was super small PP. Like, he did not want anybody to find out anything. So everything he did it so meticulously correct and very instilled. He was supposed to be Brian Michael Bendis' version of Peter Parker. That was supposed to be very somewhat mature and composed. But whenever he put on the suit, he was very careless. But only when it comes to actually getting something done, he was very meticulous in how he took care of things. So whenever he got into a building to make sure that there was like a bunch of robbers that were like smuggling weapons or whatever, he would make sure that he would like Batman, pin them up on a wall and leave them there for the cops to show up. And like, he'd be out of there in a fucking flash. And if you remember from the Andrew Garfield movies, that's exactly what he did. He would show up on the bridge, he would show up at a building, tie him up and leave. The only problem is several times he would end up being caught by Captain Stacy, and then essentially that one fucking point when he falls down the goddamn stupid sewer and he finds the lizard there for the first time. I was like, that's everything was working so well. He had that little, I don't know if you saw, but he had that little web in the sewer. Like, he had that little pad where he put his stuff. That was very niche. I really liked that.
Oh yeah.
And if you remember with Tom Holland, they did the same thing too, where he has that little alley where he has all his shit.
Yeah.
That's actually a Brian Michael Bendis thing. So I really thought that was pretty niche and pretty cool. But I feel like Andrew Garfield, like, they wanted to push him there, but then they pulled back because for some reason they needed to push the story forward, and instead of progressing more with Peter Parker, they just made him a real wimp. Like, he's meticulous. He's not a wimp. Because he was like, basically he simped too much. Don't get me wrong, Tom Holland simps too, but he's a bigger simp for Tony Stark than he's a simp for an actual female. He does have that one crush, and he does have that crush on MJ, but like, I don't know. It just feels estranged with Andrew Garfield specifically. And going next after Andrew Garfield, which who let Gwen die, by the way. Real Peter Parker would never let that fucking happen. He would never let that happen. Even with regular Gwen. Regular Gwen did die, but he didn't die on her on his watch. She didn't die on his watch. So that's like the biggest part that is a huge deciding factor for me. Tom Holland. He is the embodiment of young Peter Parker. He does a phenomenal job as young Peter Parker. Like, I'm pretty sure you even saw it too. You're like, you know what? Yeah, this is what Peter Parker should be, right?
Yeah.
So he does a good job of being young Peter Parker. He has all these characters that he intervenes with. A lot of pretty good involvement with the Sinister Six so far. Very funny way of how he handles them with the technology that he's given that he doesn't know how to use it, which is something that did happen with young Peter Parker. Peter Parker doesn't really know how to do shit. So the fact that they made him not know anything about how the Stark tech works, that does show us a little bit more on how smart he is, because he knows a little bit more about tech. He doesn't know how to use it, but that doesn't mean he's not willing to try. And one thing that we saw with Andrew Garfield is he tried to understand. Like, he tried to understand the mixture of the webbing, something that we didn't see with Sam Raimi, where Tobey Maguire was just magically gifted these spider hairs and these spider cum in his arms. Andrew Garfield, we saw him actually make we actually saw him make the solute, and then Peter
Is there
Parker,
never an actual iteration of where he has the actual powers though, where he doesn't need the web shooters?
That's when he's an actual spider. Like, there is a variant of Peter Parker where he's actually half spider, the human spider, and it's pretty gross.
Oh, okay, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and that one is the only time that everything's actually infused. I mean, it is said that Peter Parker does have like spider tech, a spider nut in my arm again. I would take the tech any day. I would not take the spider nut in my arm. That'd be gross. I don't want that spider jizz in my arm. Fuck that shit.
Feels like it would just clog up arteries.
Oh my god! Stop. And plus, you need buildup just to shoot a web. Just imagine like fucking Peter Parker about to jump off a building. He's like, and then just jumps off the building.
That sounded like more like this. Hold on.
That'd be so stupid. No wonder he would stay. No wonder he would stay in New York, because all of the freaking traffic noise would cover with the fact that he's fapping through the sky. That's so gross. Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys are putting gross images in my head tonight. I'm just trying to have a chill night. But yeah, and ending off with Tobey Maguire being in the first place spot. He is everything mature Peter Parker should be. Like, he's everything like college Peter Parker and beyond is. They try to make him feel a little bit younger than he should be. Granted, where we saw him was basically his last year of high school. And then moving on towards his college life. But in a general sense, he really embodied how well Peter Parker really cares about his loved ones. He really cares about his aunt. He really cares about Uncle Ben. Everything was like almost a redemption arc for him, basically. And essentially, Peter Parker, when he gets pissed, he gets pissed. Like that's another thing about him that separates him from the average other hero that lives on the streets. Because if you're not an Avenger, you're basically on your own. And all the other heroes that are on their own, they usually have reasons. His reasons are not really justified. His reasons are, if you fuck with me, you're really gonna like regret it, basically. Because like, if he sees a robbery happening, he's like, okay, that's a robbery, I'm gonna stop it. But then if they're robbing like an old lady, oh, he's like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And that's kind of something that we see a little bit more with mature Peter Parker. My friend was mentioning it earlier with them copying the PS4 Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel Spider-Man, that version of Peter Parker, which is supposed to be mature, they actually do draw a lot from the comics where he's insanely like sentient, mature Peter Parker, where he's gone through a lot. MJ, like a whole life passed by already, and Tobey Maguire kind of feeds into that lifestyle of being self-sufficient, and the only reason why he'll put on the suit and do something, it's because you pissed him off. If anything, he's normally just swinging around, just keeping himself fit, basically. And that's exactly what Tobey Maguire does. And the whole symbiote thing, Peter Parker encounters the symbiote when he's a little bit older, and I'm glad they did it in the third film, because that's kind of what happens. He does encounter it when he's a little bit older, and they didn't really fully blossom Eddie Brock, but the whole him rejecting the symbiote that quick was like, it happened a little bit too soon, but I was kind of okay with it. And of course, the whole Liberty Bell plays a whole effect into it. With the whole the way the alien symbiote works. What are we talking about now? We're talking about Spider-Man specifically. Power ranking between the three actors that have played Peter Parker so far.
See, if you tuned in the whole time, Zach, you would know exactly what we're talking about.
That's okay, Zach. We still love you. Welcome back.
So, should we move on to Thor Ragnarok?
Oh my god. Very, very interesting integration with Planet Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Very, very interesting integration. But I mean, we got to see a little bit more of other characters in the Asgardian universe. I mean, we got to see the Executioner.
Tyr.
We get to see Tyr, yeah. And then we got to see Hel. We got to see Fenrir. We saw a little bit more of Heimdallr again. No Lady Sif this time around. That was kind of sad about that. And we got Valkyrie to take place as the very prominent female, aside Hel, of course. There's several Valkyrie, but the main Valkyrie herself, I don't know. They kind of put it as a love interest for Thor. I don't know how to feel about that one. He's like, oh, you're a Valkyrie. Oh, Lee, I've heard of your legends. I'm like, okay, dude.
No, what legend?
You're a simp. Get it? We get it. You've been dry for a very long time. We get it.
Do you
Thor
think
Dark
that
World was such a bad time for you. We get it.
Do you think Planet Hulk should have been a completely different
Yes.
movie?
Yes, I completely think so.
Because I still remember seeing the animated movie of it. I'm like, this is badass. I'm like, oh, this is integrated in it? Oh, they didn't really show shit from it.
No, other than the interaction between the Grandmaster and Hulk. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Because like, Planet Hulk went from planet to planet, literally. And then when he finally found, quote-unquote, the new home. And dude, the fights are badass. That was probably my favorite part about it. And when I saw him don the gladiator armor when he fought Thor, I was like, it's not the same one, but he still looks cool.
Can you guess who my favorite character was from that movie?
Planet Hulk?
Well, from Ragnarok.
The Grandmaster.
No.
Oh, don't tell me fucking Korg.
Korg.
Oh my.
Korg is great.
We're ending the podcast right now. I'm gonna drive over to Joe's house and just ram into his house.
Piss off, Ghost. He's freaking gone.
Oh my god.
Korg.
Korg is.
Hey, you want right?
Korg Pog. Korg is something else. That's all I'll say. I don't think he's a bad character, but I don't know.
If anyone's gonna be comedic relief, why not Korg?
Fair point.
Also, something else I was kind of like thinking about and kind of questioning. I'm like, wait, Korg looks exactly like the Thing. So, is that gonna be brought up at some point?
No, I don't think so. But it does show us that they can make good-looking rock people.
But I mean, so is like the Thing. So when they went to Fantastic Four, went to outer space, and that whole thing happened, and they got their powers. The Thing becoming the Thing had no relevance to like what Korg's people is.
I think, well.
By the way, that would be called Thorg.
There was a Korg in either Thor 1 or Thor 2. In Thor 2, there was a Korg. No, yes, it was in Thor 2. In Thor 1, we saw there might have been one, but we saw it was Thor 1. That was a different race. I know the ones you're talking about when he was fighting with Lady Sif. That was a different race, I think. But we did see a actual Korg in Thor 2. IRC. Don't quote me on that, but IRC. Oh my god, this stupid music is just reminding me of Black Ops Cold War. It's like, did you know this is exactly what Ronald Reagan listened to in his car when he was on his way to go fucking kill Cubans? Joe, you dead?
Am I dead?
Oh yeah, because you're quiet.
I'm talking.
Oh, we didn't hear you.
Oh, maybe it's because I was a little bit further away from my mic. I don't know.
Fucking up, dude. I know we're 2 hours into the stream or the podcast.
That's because how I have to sit on my chair. Like, I have to get close, and like being like this feels uncomfortable. So once I get that new chair, it's gonna be a lot better. I hope.
everybody who's still in here, thank you for still staying with us. Those of you who have joined in or joined back, welcome back, and welcome in general. And for those of you who are still here, have this cookie. We're only
Speaking
here
of-
for Korg. Fucking see what you've done. I'll be
Speaking
proud of
of
yourself, Joe. You started a Korg crew. Now we're gonna have like 1,000 like Korg fans subscribe to the channel.
That's fine. I don't care.
You're gonna see like Korg 1, Korg 2, Korg 3, just all subscribe to the channel right now. Chocolate chip or macadamia? You know what, Diego? Just for you, macadamia.
A Korg with
a Korg with the pop. No, I'm gonna be Elvis Korg basically.
Speaking of pompadours, let's move on to Black Panther.
It's well, you see, I appreciate all of the previous iterations of Chadwick Boseman, especially James Brown, which is, you know, literally T'Challa. Just imagine like him doing his get on up routine, but with inside the Black Panther costume.
I remember before I saw it, but like everyone was like super hyped about it, and they said it was a great movie. And I watched it. I'm like, I feel like they hyped it up too much. Still a good movie, but like,
No, it is a good movie. I did like it, but I felt like it was way overhyped.
but like, I think why it was like really good for me is that aside from everything else, is an actual like culturally a lot different than what we're used to seeing.
Tread lightly, we might get stabbed for this.
I mean, just culturally different, just all that. Because even like when you go to outer space, we don't have any idea of like outer space shit. And, like it doesn't. I don't know. It just seems too sci-fi, where unreal. Where Black Panther is an actual, you know, based off actual culture, has stuff. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Included in it. I don't know.
Well, see
Kinda
it this
based off
way.
of that.
See it this way. Technically, Steve Rogers, on top of having the metabolism on crack, he also has really bad LSD trips.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. That's something that's never talked about that much, but he does have like really bad LSD trips. And I mean, it is shown that he does kind of like still have memories and what if situations playing on in the back of his mind, or like, what if I didn't go in the ice? What if I'm still with Peggy? And of course, we saw that in Age of Ultron when Wanda messes with all their heads. But essentially, there was a scene that was cut out from Avengers that Steve Rogers interacted with this waitress and this police officer, and I think there was also a scene as well besides those two where he's in like in his apartment and he's looking at the files of like his past, like everything they had on record of him in Shield, and he was just like basically remembering and crying, like, you know, like a normal army veteran. And that's something that people don't talk about that much, but Steve Rogers had really bad LSD trips, like big field trips too. And that kind of just feeds into the whole American culture thing. And that was, I think that came about with the 616 Ultimate reboot. And Steve Rogers was shown to be a whole lot more sympathetic. Because he always was a wholesome American boy, but then after that he was like wholesome American boy, but had like a lot of problems. And then of course, the most recent iteration before after post Secret Wars was when we had Steve Rogers actually be a double agent. Yeah, but who else? Natasha Romanoff. We don't see too much of the whole KGB influence. I'm assuming we're going to see more with the Black Widow film, which has been delayed for the third time already. But I still
like
want
it's
to. I still
weird
want to see. I still want to see
Right.
how they incorporate Red Guardian. Because all we see so far for Red Guardian is just.
Don't you mean Officer Hobbs?
Oh my. It's exactly what I was gonna fucking say. It's just, oh my god, it's the Stranger Things dad.
Well, because
But
in the
now
trailer,
he's a
reference,
superhero.
like, that he's fat now. I'm like, oh, damn.
Well,
Like I wanted to see ripped.
It makes sense because it's a family reunion. Natasha's there with Yelena and oh, I already forgot his name. I don't remember him too much. I don't remember his real name, but what I do know is that he is Natasha's husband. Originally,
Really?
in the comics, yes, the KGB obviously had the Red Room. They obviously had the Red Room, and that is where Natasha became Black Widow. She became a widow, and then as well as Yelena, and then we'd had the Red Guardian, which is the KGB's attempt at making their own version of the super soldier. Because obviously, people keep forgetting that, like, if they do introduce it that way, it would make sense, because clearly Bucky was also an experiment too from the KGB. So why would it not make sense that they also try to make their own Steve Rogers, which is essentially what Red Guardian is? He is a copy of Steve Rogers embedded into another soldier from the KGB. And since he was the top soldier of the KGB, they basically made an arranged marriage for him and the top assassin, which was Natasha Romanoff. Yeah, it's pretty gross. Well, not gross, because Red Guardian looks pretty poppin', as they say. He looked a lot like Duff Man from The Simpsons.
Wow.
He's got like a whole skin tight red suit, literally just like Steve Rogers, except it's red. And he has a shield as well. It's not vibranium, but I mean, it's made out of an alloy of some sort. I don't remember.
But speaking of vibranium, how what are your opinions on that last fight between T'Challa and Killmonger?
Oh my god.
PS2 graphics.
Don't even bring that up. What do you
No,
feel, Joe?
Yeah, I didn't really realize. I didn't think it was PS2 graphics, but just watching it, I'm like, there's something. Fucking phone game graphics. Uh, it just seemed like really off, and then like watching Corridor Crew, like they brought it up, like it just seemed like they really rushed through it, and it did, and like a lot of points that they made, it's just like they rushed through it, but then they also didn't like make good choices in what they were in the time that they did into making it look better.
Yeah, because they did it in a very dark place with only
Yeah.
like several focal lights. It was just way too hard to make it look realistic at any point at a time at all. I mean, what if we redid the whole thing, Joe, but it's just you? You think you still got the old parkour moves in you?
Oh god. And it's not even just like two of me, it's just like hypercut between myself.
We just have you jumping around, kicking shit, and then to add effect, we'll put like, we'll put you into like in a boxed set, so we can make it dark. Other than that, we make you do it in a very dark hallway.
I can't. Well, the only thing I could see, like, with the reason why they chose that spot is because as the vibranium train thing comes up, and it makes the suit not deteriorate, but like move in a sense.
It makes it like glitch for a second.
Yeah, it's just like, but like aside from that, like that's the only purpose of them being down there. It's not like I don't know. It's just like you could have just easily fought outside.
The whole fight they had at the little like waterfall thing, that shit was fucking dope.
Yeah.
That shit was dope. Like I was like, okay, this shit real. Like when he stabbed him with the spear, like when he cut him, I was like, oh, I felt that. I felt that. Like I felt my nipples perk up. I was like, oh, all right. I felt it.
Do you think they should have killed off Killmonger?
I I feel like they kept him alive for a reason. I feel like there's a reason.
No, he died.
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, no, because I saw that. I'm like, wait, all that hype and that build up, and he just dies now?
Well, because the whole point is a redemption arc, basically. And
Yeah,
it
but
was just to
like
show that
been a lot
T'Challa. It was like the typical rise to power thing, where is he worthy to really be a leader of a nation that he just kind of was just handed to him? Because T'Challa didn't really do much to actually keep himself in political or physical shape to lead a nation. But I don't know. That's just me. And of course, sadly, rest in peace, Mr. Boseman. You did a wonderful job of portraying T'Challa. Couldn't ask for anyone else. Literally, because I cannot think of anybody else. Not even Russell Ali. An amazing individual, an amazing actor. I can tell he's going to do a phenomenal job with Blade. Because I can also not think of anybody else who could have done Blade. But a lot of people are a lot of people are also getting hyped up for Shuri being the next Black Panther in the Black Panther sequel, and I'm like, first off, a lot of you people need to stop saying that. Yes, finally a female superhero. So you guys are kind of cucking yourselves by saying that Captain Marvel basically didn't exist. Are you trying to say that? Because like literally, Captain Marvel, as much as it was kind of, like she existed. She's there. She's pro women, and I'm all for it. I'm all for women being powerful because we have Black Widow. Black Widow's fucking badass. We have Yelena. Yelena's badass. We have Wanda. Wanda's badass. But was she there? She was not there. True that. Marvel was just something else. Hopefully we recently had someone casted for Miss Marvel already, for Kamala Khan, and for the Disney Plus series. We already have someone casted, as well as we have Tatiana Madley casted for She-Hulk. But now, recently, Tatiana Madley tweeted out that she doesn't know if she wants to do it. I'm like, what? So you're telling me you agreed to do this and now you don't want to do it anymore? But I mean, actors choose what they wish to do. But Shuri does become the Black Panther. She does take on the role, but only for a little bit because T'Challa had to go away for some reason. I don't remember why. I don't follow Black Panther that much, unfortunately. But I do know that Shuri only takes on the mantle for a short while, and people keep saying, "Oh, well, it makes sense because unironically the trap music came on." But Shuri does take on the mantle, but people keep saying like, well, according to the comics, she does become the Black Panther, so I mean, it only makes sense. I'm like, well, you guys are making it sound like she's gonna permanently be the Black Panther for the rest of the MCU. If she does, I wouldn't want to say it's bad, but I don't really like Shuri. I'm sorry, like, I feel that the way she's been developed so far, she's still young. The whole point of the first Black Panther movie was to show that T'Challa still didn't know how to rule Wakanda, that he was still unsure of himself and had all these problems. All of a sudden, we're going to throw it over to Shuri again? Have another situation where we're going to have another redemption arc and self-fulfillment? Another Lion King? I don't think so. I'm all for it. I'm all for having a female Black Panther, yes. But like statistically, in a story sense, I don't know. That's just me.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, I mean, keep Shuri involved completely. Do the podcast while dropping bars. Indeed, my boy, talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, talking about movies. Jimmy got me here and be dropping hoobies.
Negosa Gupa Lapis. speaking of words, now on to Infinity War.
Black Panther, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. I'm dropping these bars. You can call me Fetty Wap. That's a name I remember. Remember Fetty Wap? I heard him on the radio the other day. I was like, damn, that's Fetty Wap. DJ, we're gonna hit 3 hours. This is the longest we've been podcasting.
I know. Well, we're almost through, so might as well just finish.
All right, cool. Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Funny story. I was watching this a couple days ago while getting absolutely demolished in the inside of my stomach with Taco Bell. And I was rewatching it to see if there was any like really small noticeable changes or little things, because like I literally, that's what I've been doing recently. I've been literally watching all the films again, looking at little details. And one thing I noticed, I was like, oh my god, that's actually pretty fucking cool, was the scene where Hulk falls through the sky from the Bifrost and lands in the Sanctum in New York, right when Steven and Wong are about to go outside. Steven calls forward the cape and wraps it around him, but he was wearing normal clothes. He was wearing like normal street clothes, and all of a sudden when he calls the cape on, he's wearing his normal garbs. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, I didn't realize it until I saw it again. I was like, wait a minute. He just swapped clothes. I was like, wait. What? Oh. So he's wearing the thing all the time. He just has the illusion that he's wearing normal clothes. It is, as the kids call it, extra, but I was like, that's pretty cool. That's a nice little detail that I didn't notice before. Another little detail is how quick Tony Stark and Peter's instincts are. Obviously, Peter has the spider sense, but we also get to see how advanced Friday is. Was it Friday still? I think it was Friday still.
Yeah, it had to be.
There was a point where there was this explosion where this ray just shot through where Steven, Tony, and Peter were just sitting around in the ship. And the first instinct was that both masks of Tony Stark and Peter came on, and they both jumped out of the way instantly. I was like, it's too close to call, but you could see them jump before the explosion even triggered. I was like, oh, like that was, cause usually the spider sense is obvious. Whenever we see it, it's obvious. You can see something's gonna happen. But a small little thing like that, for not only for Peter to notice, but also Friday to react and save Tony, was actually pretty cool too. Another little thing that I noticed is that progression over the Iron Man suits becoming more and more cartoony. The nanotech technology, it was forced, it was cool, but it looked weird. Didn't you think that Robert Downey Jr., obviously when he was CGI'd up in the suit, he looked a little bit too thin?
Yeah, with the nanotech, it seemed like too slimmed down.
Like, it makes sense. It spawns around his body because it's consistent energy that is consistently going around him all the time and sprouting from his core. And he keeps saying like, oh, I got the surgery for it, I could take it off at any time. It's like, well, not really. Nanotechnology requires a source of energy still.
Wait, I thought he took it out already.
What? His arc
core?
reactor?
Yeah, when he said he got the surgery, I thought he...
No, he has to take it off. But
no, he just got the fragment taken out, right?
He got the fragment taken out, but he could also... He was implying that he doesn't need to be hooked up. That's what he was implying. But I was like, but something needs to charge the nanotechnology. So basically, he can't take off the nanoreactor and then just tap the middle of his chest and expect the suit to come out. So he still needs to be walking around with that shit on his chest still. Because he does have an iteration in the comics that his whole suit spawns from his watch. He has a watch at some point. And this is around when Tony Stark really revamped all of the Avengers technology. And one of the things he made for himself was he made that watch that I think we saw in Civil War. When was it Civil War? Yeah, it was Civil War. When Bucky is fighting, was it Bucky? Yeah, when he escapes from the Shield. Okay, fuck. I'm fucking trembling on my own brain. When he escapes and the fucking Zemo triggered his like sicko mode, and he escapes, and basically Tony Stark, T'Challa, and Natasha were trying to fight him, like in the building. Did you see that he has his watch and he pulls out like a little hand, like he puts the glove on his hand from the watch?
Yeah.
And he blocks the bullet, and then he shoots like one little pulse bomb.
Yeah.
That is actually a reference to him having the watch. Like, he actually has a watch that can spawn the whole suit. And then towards the end of the Civil War, right before the final fight with Steve Rogers and Bucky, he puts his finger inside this little like finger hole on the ship, and then he just drops down and it puts the suit around him. Technically, that's what the watch does too. Like, it spawns from one point of his body and it goes all around him. The nanobots work the same way, but if you notice, the way it worked there when he still had the arc reactor was that it spawns around him and it uses that source from his chest still. The nanotechnology requires some type of energy, whether it's I don't think a human body can naturally produce energy that high unless you have nanobots living within your own body. If he has them living within his own body, why would he need the chest piece? And for what he has, he would need a whole lot of energy. And the thing that he has where he like he makes weapons from his hands, I don't know if you saw that. Like, he makes like this huge hammer, this huge like axe looking thing from his hands. Like, it kind of looks like it's like made out of rubber basically. That shit is all the nanotechnology, and it basically, he thinks it and it does it, which is the same as like already the technology that he had with his normal suits. But the nanotechnology basically is one step ahead of him and will remember things for the next thing. So Friday being able to save him from a potential problem kind of also leads me to suspect as to why, I know we're jumping ahead, but as to why Friday didn't basically save him from the explosion of being able to snap the gloves. And technically Steve Rogers doesn't have that much strength, but potentially the metabolism can save him from the snap. Technically. It's not entirely gamma reduced. It's not entirely gamma inducing. So the whole it's almost like I was made for it, like the other I was made for it. I don't even know if that was the quote. The whole like I was made for it thing, where he's like, it's almost like I was made for it. Then he puts his hand in this glove, then he does this snap. The stones don't produce gamma energy at all. Like, it doesn't. It cooks you, but I don't exactly know how it works. But all I know is that if Hulk was able to basically survive off that, technically Steve Rogers could too. Technically. Because if Steve Rogers can take a laser beam to the fucking face, I'm pretty sure he can too. I mean,
True.
I'm pretty sure he could survive some levels of alien radiation. Plus, any single time you get smacked by by one of the sorcerers, you're taking that same kind of energy anyways. So I don't know, unless they're controlling how much power is put into each energy channel. But I mean, Infinity War was not a bad two-part thing. It was definitely a cliffhanger for sure. One thing that it's a very small pet peeve, but Steve Rogers. We see him wearing the long hair, the beard, no shield, little stabby stab hand thingies, and his suit is dirty. Like, it's all fucking dirty. Everyone has suspicions that it's black, but it's not a black suit. It's actually his normal suit that he was wearing from Civil War, but it's super dirty. But like every single time it is shown elsewhere in either a picture or not like anything aside from the film, whether it's a video game, especially video games though, whether it's a video game or a drawing of some sort or an animation, like they always have him have his default Captain America colors, but they're slightly darker. I'm like, no, it's actually dark to the point where it looks black. It's still the same suit, yes, but it's a couple shades away from being completely black. So it's not still red and blue. I mean, you can if you crinkle your eyes up and get up close to the TV, you could see it, but from first glance, you should be able to see it right away. So that's just a little pet peeve for me. It's not even related to the movie that much.
Interesting.
Yeah. To me, it was also interesting why Steve Rogers wouldn't want to use some type of shield, and he'd just stick with the little stabby stabs instead.
That's what I was wondering about too. And then T'Challa's like, "Hey, can we just finally get this man a shield?"
I mean, they say it, and then they're like, "Yeah, he should," and then he's like, "All right, I guess I'm fighting without it." My legs.
One of the most badass parts of that movie is when Thor came in and just started wrecking people's shit because he was the god.
Thanos.
That was badass.
This is my friend's rabbit tree. Groot. Steve Rogers. Oh, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers. That part also made me laugh. It was funny too about that scene specifically when they're all charging in. Did you see how fast Steve Rogers ran?
Yeah.
That fucker was fast. Can you believe recently on the r/Play Avengers Reddit, which is the unofficial, but it's slowly becoming the official Reddit for the Marvel Avengers video game, on behalf of all the Captain America mains, we kept complaining that the game is still unplayable, and Captain America is still pretty buggy when it comes to shield mechanics. It's particularly when running. But mainly, most of the time we complain about the game not being playable. A lot of the PC players as well. One thing that they said was like, alright, we heard you, we heard our lovely fans, and we decided to take action. We are now buffing Captain America's movement speed. And we're like, wait, what? And we're like, what are you talking about? And they were like, yes, according to all the fans, this was the highly requested change. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Oh. You see all the PS4 players and all the Xbox players going, what the hell? Why is Captain America so slow? Thor can fly. Iron Man can fly. Hulk can super jump across the map. And Kamala can basically Kamala and Black Widow can web sling like Spider-Man. And then Steve Rogers is just slow. What the hell? Did you guys not see Infinity War? Look how fast he is. And yeah, it's true. Infinity War, he was zooming across the goddamn jungle. Did you see? Like, that homeboy was like faster than me when I finish eating Taco Bell when I run into the toilet.
I mean, it makes sense that if you think about like in the first Avenger, he had just gotten his super soldier powers, and he's just running through the street chasing down a car on foot.
Oh yeah.
And that's with him. It's just like, oh, I have speed now. So I mean, like if you take into account like years of him like actually training and everything and all that, then he's gonna get faster.
No, I know. I mean, yeah, it does make sense that he's fast, but it just because of the video game, it makes me laugh because they're like, we heard you, and we decided to bring something that's very important. He's now fast. I'm like, well, are you guys building him wrong? Because if you if you build, because it's like Destiny, you can upgrade your skill set and like passives and abilities and shit. And there's an ability where obviously as Captain America you can hold up the shield, and you can also hold it up while running, and it actually makes you faster if you hold it up while running, but it depletes like your energy bar. And basically what I do is I max out energy so I can keep it up forever basically, and I can literally I play with my homeboys right here. They're in the chat. You can ask them. I'll literally like, they play as Hulk and Thor, so they'll just zoom across the map, but I'm on the ground and I can literally almost outrun them. And I'm just on the ground, just like running throughout the entire map with my shield up.
Damn.
It's fucking funny. That's if the game doesn't crash within 10 minutes of us finally loading after waiting for an hour. In the Quinjet. Because it's like, oh, we're in the Quinjet, that's a good sign. And then we'll stay in the Quinjet for an hour. That's not a good sign.
You know who else was waiting for a very long time?
Who?
Pim's wife.
Oh. Oh. Oh, the elevator, dude. The elevator's still a bug. They still haven't fixed that. But you know where... Actually, let me correct that. They did fix it for console. They fixed it for console, but not for PC. I guess they really hate us. Like, I'm very confused as to why they hate us so much.
Just cause.
All thought out traps filled with monsters at CC. Loading screens. Bruh, too true. I'll literally boot up the game and I'll hear the fucking theme song. Da 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 da. Obviously, because it doesn't use the typical Marvel Avengers theme. That's like da 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 da. And I'm like, just get me to the game, please. Also, Riley and Diego, if you guys are still listening, there is, and I repeat, there is, and it was very glossed over. It was extremely glossed over. When you first meet Hank Pym and you're with Bruce Banner, Bruce asks Hank Pym, "Have you heard from Scott lately?" So Scott Lang exists in that game universe. If you wait, of course this only happens in the story mode when you have Bruce Banner meet Hank Pym. Yep. If you have Bruce Banner meet Hank Pym and you don't, because I think you're supposed to talk to them and then they start the next mission where Kamala basically breaks out of the compound by herself. Right before then, if you just sit there and you just let them talk to each other, at some point Bruce Banner asks Hank Pym, "So have you heard from Scott lately?" And then Hank Pym goes, "Well, he's been doing some other stuff." And I was like, oh, because I'm like, besides Captain America, I love Ant-Man as well. And obviously I could give my hopes up for Spider-Man because that's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. But I would really love to play Ant-Man in the Marvel Avengers game. And Square Enix is basically telling us that we will see more characters in the future. Playable characters, that is. And in the story, it is told that basically Hank Pym had his molecular structure basically rearranged by MODOK to where he can't grow anymore, or he can't change size anymore, because if he does, his cells will deteriorate and die. But in his lab, you can see that he's like working on experimentation of shrinking and enlarging. He has ants like running around the map, and they're like shrinking and growing. And I was like, oh, all right, so there's a possibility maybe. And then now realizing back that there's this callback to Scott, that means that we might see Scott in action. Because in Ultimate Alliance 3, there was such a badass entrance of Scott, but we never got to play as him. I was like, fuck. Granted, it'd be really hard to make an Ant-Man in a game. It'd be kind of hard because basically you'll be playing the game and all of a sudden you go into tiny mode. How would you make everything tiny? And then forget about big mode, because basically you're just gonna make a separate clone of Rampage, the game.
I mean, big mode would probably just be mission specific type of stuff or specific interactions, and then when fighting, it could just be like how they did in the movie, where it just like be quick little jumps to him being small to a maneuver, and then use that to throw some whatever, some shit like that.
It's very possible they can make it be very like cutscene specific, because they do have takedowns, and those are animated via cutscene, basically like QuickTime event cutscene. And I'm pretty sure they can make something happen where like you grow tiny for like an execute and that's it, like a takedown. And also, I finally, Riley and Diego actually managed to finally get an execute off one time, but like an actual stealth execute. But halfway into it, the game crashed. I was crying. Yeah, I know. Cause most of the takedowns involve Steve Rogers basically like doing a leg sweep and then decapitating them, or just straight up ripping off their head, or just doing a Sparta kick. The stealth execute, actually, what he does is that he throws the shield at them, like behind them, and then he charges at them, and then they're on the ground, and he kind of like runs forward a little bit, and he turns around and throws his shield back quick, and he keeps running. That's a callback to Winter Soldier. Where, I don't know if you ever saw, but there's that one scene where he throws the shield like at a long distance, and then he kind of does like this little like sliding kick, and then he gets up and then he throws the shield at the dude's back and paralyzes him.
I think so.
It's I'll send you a link for the video later of all the shield throws, but that's part of it, where he throws it at max distance, and then he's running towards the guy, and then he slides, and the dude gets bonked in the head by the shield, and then he grabs it midair, and then he throws it at his back when he's on the ground. It's like, oh, that dude's paralyzed for sure. Like, it looked painful. And they did the same thing in the Avengers game, except he doesn't slide. He kind of just throws it and then kind of like pushes, like knocks him down, and then turns around and throws it again. I was like, oh, what a nice little callback. His execute during the Thanos boss fight is taking off his belt and going up his... No. I would love to see that. You just see Ant-Man just crawl up someone's like butt canal. I'll take it. I guess technically we spoke about Ant-Man and the Wasp right there.
Pretty much, yeah. Because there wasn't a whole lot to say, because the antagonists in there weren't anything to... I don't know. It was an okay movie. It just felt more of like a setup. In finding out or figuring out like what the hell happened.
Oh
to,
no, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Scott and the crew, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the chick who is the ghost, she is going to be portraying Jill Valentine in a reboot of the Resident Evil movie franchise.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh damn, all right, cool. Supposedly they casted her and someone else is gonna be Wesker. I'm like, ooh, all right, cool. I really don't want to talk about the next one.
I mean, we kind of talked about it already.
Captain Marvel, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. Tonight on Champions of Nerd Poker. I mean, I think I'd probably lose instantly. I'm okay at poker. I'm not the best.
Did you know that what's his name? So the one that was mentoring her. Oh, Jude Law's character. Did you know that was actually supposed to be played by Keanu Reeves, or were you the one who told me that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be Keanu Reeves, but I think it was interrupted because of filming for John Wick. So then a Jude Law got it. I'm like, oh, okay, good. We could have Keanu Reeves play something else, something more badass. Can he be Adam Warlock?
Oh my. No, he's too old for that.
Is he?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit old.
Sentry's never gonna be in the Marvel universe. Too OP.
Watch him be the new Wolverine.
Can't see him as.
No, but can you see Shia LaBeouf as Iceman?
Doesn't matter.
Because that's happening. That's happening.
Wait, is Iceman?
Yep, he's Iceman. That was before we got the confirmation of Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, and before we got the confirmation of the new Kamala Khan. Before all that, a couple months ago, it has been announced that Shia LaBeouf is going to play Iceman. And a lot of people were mad because they were saying, why don't we have an actual person from the LGBTQ community portray Iceman? And I'm like, well, it wasn't that long ago that Iceman was made to be part of the LGBTQ community. He didn't come out until recently.
Wait. They made Iceman. So the X-Men Iceman, right?
Yeah, he's gay.
What? Since when?
Since like 2016.
The hell? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why did they just do it? Just cause, or
supposedly that was his big secret.
Okay.
I don't know. Supposedly the original Iceman actor from the original X-Men movies, supposedly he is gay. And they were saying, why don't we just bring him back? I'm like, that's true. We could have done that, but I don't know. I mean, why do you need to have a gay person be like a gay character? The whole point of an actor is to portray something.
Neil Patrick Harris. All I'm saying.
Oh my god, no.
I didn't even know he was until I didn't know he was gay. I forgot who told me. I was like, no, he's not. And then I saw him like, oh, he is. Holy shit.
Yeah, he is. And of all people, Shia LaBeouf, I don't know. I mean, maybe Shia LaBeouf will portray him like when he's like in his dark times before he meets Professor X. When he gets admitted into the institution, yeah.
I mean, because if that's the case, like age-wise, Shia LaBeouf doesn't really.
Homeboy getting kind of old.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that that's been confirmed for a while now.
My next question is, what the fuck happened to Goose?
Goose? The cat?
Yeah.
Well, he's the. Well, what do you mean? What happened to him? Like, where is
Because
he?
he ate the Tesseract, but then as we find in Avenger, no, Thor, right? I forgot what movie it was, but they find the Tesseract again. It's like, wait, Goose ate it, so that we saw in Captain Marvel. So what the hell happened to Goose that someone else found it now?
Well, we saw it back in Thor again, and then it ended up in Selvig's hands.
Right.
So basically, somehow it had to get transported back to. Somehow it had to get transported back to Asgard. The only thing I could think that how it got there, Inhumans. Maybe somehow there was an involvement with the Inhumans and Lockjaw, and all of them transported it back to Asgard. That's the only thing I could think of. Because the good Skrull, they interact with all beings of life, but they don't fuck with Flurkins. So they respect them, but the Flurkins are like the Saiyans. Basically, Flurkins just go to planets, but they don't try to take over. They just kind of try to vibe. But it would make sense that the Skrull would try and return the Tesseract. It would make sense. That's all I'm saying. And plus, I think Goose's character was named something else in the comics.
Was it?
I think so. The only reason why I know is because Katie, my sister, she was trying to think of what to name Tito, the cat, our cat, and we always tease her that she likes Captain Marvel because she's a little feminist. And she's like, no, I hate Captain Marvel. I hate it. Like, how can you hate it? You're not allowed to hate it. It's automatically your favorite movie. Like, shut up. And then we told her, like, why don't you name your cat Goose? And she's like, oh, I hate that it's not a bad name. And she's like, well, technically in the comics his name is not Goose. I'm like, oh, someone did research. In the comics, the name is not Goose. They named it Goosey because of the whole Air Force thing.
Right.
Because, you know, Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's literally why it's named Goose. Because of the whole freaking Air Force vibe. So who knows? Maybe there's a second cat.
Just a bunch of different cats that just have tentacles in their stomachs.
Yeah, dude. That's how I feel after I eat Taco Bell.
Speaking of purple brand, on to Endgame.
Beautiful. All right, good night. Endgame was something else.
I had to watch it twice.
What's up?
I had to watch the movie twice, but that's because, like, when it came out, I was like, I have to watch this movie. Everyone's fucking spoiling it. I can't wait. So I went to go watch it.
People are screaming and shit. Yeah.
No, not that. It's just like, oh, it was a. I reserved my ticket, and like where my ticket was, it was like right next to the handicap spots. You know what I'm talking about? AMC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
you really couldn't see shit.
No. Like that spot right there, I would have been fine. Cause it's like I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I have all this space right here. I'm not really gonna have anyone around me. And what is it? What time did I get there? I should have just got there like a lot earlier. Cause when I got there and I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck? Someone's in my seat.
Oh,
it was like
shit.
this big dude. It was this big dude in my seat, and he was I later found out like was his dad next to him. And I was like, I'm just like, I'm just go down to the end because there's a seat open. There's a guy that comes up and he's like, kind of like looking. He's like, then he stops next to me. He's like looking up and down and making sure. And I was like, "Am I in your seat?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was confused the whole seat because someone's in mine." He's like, "Well, go kick him out then." He just looks at me. I'm like, "All right, fuck you too, buddy." Then I go over to the guy. I was like, I fucking got a problem. I was like, hey, I think you're in my seat. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Explaining. Because I mean, like with the whole handicap thing, though, you don't reserve those. It's just if you're handicapped, you sit there. Yeah. And if one takes it, you can sit there. So it's like, I'm not going to get mad at it. And then like, he was cool. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, yeah. It's like, I can move, but it's just like, I'm with my dad and everything. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. And I'm like, well, okay, then I'll take your seat then. Like, where'd you? He's like, I don't remember where it was. I didn't hold on to my ticket. I'm like, it was packed in there. I'm like, where the? I legitimately thought, I'm like, am I gonna have to sit on the fucking stairs for this or something?
Oh no, you did
not. That's how I was like looking. Like, there's like an open seat up in the middle, like there because there's 2 seats. I'm like, I'm gonna hope to God that those are his. So I sit there. And then when people walk up, I'm like the movie was starting. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm in the clear. I don't know why the fuck people do this. 10 minutes in, the movie started already. Then this couple comes in and they're like, they walk up. I'm like, am I in your seat? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, in my head, I was like, why the fuck do you come late to a movie? Why? Like, it's 10 minutes in. So I'm like looking around. I'm like, there's one seat in the fucking all the way at the far left end. In front of the goddamn screen, so where I literally have to look like 90 degrees up at an angle to look at the screen. That's when my seat was for the first time I watched it, and I couldn't. I had a hard time seeing anything. I'm like, who the hell thought it was a good idea to freaking lay it out that, okay, well, let's have these seats as close as they can to the screen. Oh, they recline. You could see. No, you can't see from that angle. So who thought it was a good idea to even add these seats? So it's like I watched the
Uh,
movie, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I did. So the second time I watched it, I brought my sister. I'm like, oh, better seats. I'm like, oh, this is a lot better.
it's funny because the second time I went to go watch it too, I also took Katie.
Damn.
Yeah. Who knows? We might have been in the same. We might have been in the same theater house too.
Nah, you weren't. I looked around.
You share?
Yeah.
Did you check under the chairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it. Stop,
Knowing you. Yeah, exactly.
stop lying. Stop lying.
No, you would have made a
See,
you would have made a noise. You would have made a noise during the movie
how do you, what makes you say that?
because I know you.
No, that's a lie. Fake news.
Just even though you've seen it already. Oh shit!
I would have been like, oh my god, he lifted Mjolnir for the 7th time.
He went
Oh,
bad
he
again.
went bad again. Fuck. I
Yeah,
don't want to
sounds
keep.
like
I don't want to
sounds
keep
like-
turning. What?
yeah. So it sounds like we better wrap it up.
Like, I have to turn up my gain all the time, and I don't want to do that because it makes literally. I don't know how I sound exactly, but I don't want to sound like I'm muffled. That's what I'm scared of. Unless I don't sound muffled, in which case, yay.
Mark Muffalos.
Mark Muffalos. A lot of people tell me that, like, how do you feel about someone being in the MCU with your name? I'm like, can you shut up? You act like I chose to have this name. Also, pretty horny, I'm not gonna lie.
That final fight scene.
Oh
It
my
was
god. Don't.
Amazing.
Okay. Like, are you talking about when the Avengers fought him and then everyone else came out? Or.
When everyone else came out, like the whole on your left thing, and they're just coming through. I'm like, that was
Dude.
bad.
Lifting Mjolnir made me cry. Like, when I saw that, I was like, this is like a good way to end this.
I was legitimately surprised that it was capped at the beginning, but after a second, I'm like, no, this makes sense. Cause like when I saw, it, I'm like, who the hell grabbed it?
Oh. Well, it was pretty deceptive because when it got launched and then it like I was like, oh, okay. But wait a minute. Like, I already knew it in the beginning, like, okay, someone else threw it. It wasn't until like when it made contact. When it made contact with Thanos, I was like, oh, okay, no, someone else grabbed it. Because it wouldn't Mjolnir would not fly to Thor like the end of the hammer first. So he'll always grab it by the handle.
Yeah.
So it made no sense to me. So I was like, okay, no, that's not a thing. And then when he went back, I was like, okay, there's only one person I can. Yep, I was right. I already. Well, if you IKYK, if you know, oh IYKYK, if you know, you know. Steve Rogers was always worthy.
Yeah.
Even from Age of Ultron, it was shown that he was worthy.
No, was it? I've seen like the conversation on multiple times that he was actually able to pick it up, but he just decided
Yep.
not to.
Nope. I completely support that statement. I think so too, because there would be no way he would move it and not notice that he moved it. Like, there will be no way. I think that he like tried, thought about it, and then he was like, "Wait, it's still heavy. Oh no, wait, I moved it. You know what? You know." And he even made like a little like gesture. He was like, "Nope, couldn't do it." And the Thor was like, "Oh, nothing, nothing." I was like, "No, this homeboy knows."
Because someone like something else that someone was saying about is that that he was worthy, but at the same time, like, I don't know, stuff that he was holding on to. I think with the knowing the secret of what Bucky did, that's what didn't allow him to fully pick it up. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, well, if he wasn't full out, right out like fully worthy at all, he wouldn't be able to just pick it up at all, right?
No. So yeah, you're right by that. Because there would be no way for him to pick it up if he didn't think that way. I mean, and essentially, and yeah, Steve Rogers is the main character of the Avengers. He was resurrected for that reason. The only reason why we had the whole coming out of the ice thing is because Stan Lee wrote it in so that we have a reason why we still have a very Americanistic character in the Avengers, because Captain America was created only for propaganda, literally. And then Stan Lee was like, you know what if we brought back an old character that can be the very morale of the group, because he didn't know who else to put as the main face of the Avengers. And I mean, the Avengers seems to be a very patriotic group. It was like, it's a group that goes out and defends the world on behalf of one nation. And I really don't remember too much about why Stan Lee did it, but one thing that he did mention was that he initially wanted Steve Rogers to be a person who went into the ice, came out, and then understood that the world was no different and the world was the same, and there was only one job he had to do, which was keep it safe. And the whole military persona adds into the whole keeping the Avengers on track, which is one thing that we didn't get to see too much of the MCU. The whole military aspect of Steve Rogers was not shown too much. Like, it's there that they keep calling him a soldier, but they kind of clown him on that rather than respect him for that.
Steve Rogers be like, coming out of the ice and I've been losing my mind.
Going out of my cage and I do it just...
I've been holding on to that one, by the way.
Because I'm Mr. Ice Guy. That's Shia LaBeouf, actually.
Yeah. What if Shia LaBeouf was Steve Rogers?
No, please don't do that to me.
But he had his hair like how he had it in holes.
No. No. No, please don't do this to me.
Do we just want to move on to the Spider-Man so we wrap things up, or?
Fat Thor. Thought that was pretty interesting.
I didn't like it. I saw people explaining. It's like I get that, but just you went from building him up to what he was, and it's like, hey, let's just make him fat. And then when he gets the powers, like, all right, he's not gonna be fat anymore. He's still fat. Why?
No, he is still fat. He's totally still fat.
I know, but it's like, but why?
I really don't know. I think they just did it for the hee hee ha ha's, but it's funny.
No, it pissed me off. Well, not pissed me off. It irked me so much. Because he went through the redemption.
Oh no, he was just mad, and he went to binge eating because he was mad.
Well, I know, but that's what I mean. Like the whole where he started as a character is a whole redemption, and then that happens, and he gets depressed and he turns fat. Like, what the fuck? That you just
It'd
killed
be like that. It'd be like that.
Killed the character you built.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. I liked it. It's funny, Joe. Fat people are cool.
They are, but there's no reason to make Thor fat, especially since he's the god of thunder. He can literally just burn off all the fat.
Yeah, like what? Oh fuck!
What?
He's like, because I said fat people are cool. He's like, yeah, Mark's cool. Damn. But I mean, yeah, he's the god of thunder. He's not the god of like Slim Fast.
You obviously don't know how electrotherapy works.
You have any idea how much I've been through it? It's just Joe's. You're like, have you any idea how I got these electro scars?
Electro scars. It's like little lightning bolts all over. Oh, you got varicose vein? No, they're lightning scars.
Why do you think I'm jacked? Imagine getting jacked by getting zapped.
Diffy?
No wonder. God of Thunder. Oh, the fucking God of Thunder thighs. Oh my lord. Yes. See? You see, Joe? You just got proven wrong.
Oh, that's Jane.
God of Natalie Portman, she is she's quite the looking gaze, but she's far from being dummy thick. Joe has a car battery attached to his nipples as he shocks himself. He keeps losing weight.
Car
He'll
jack.
get
Like my car literally gets jacked as it's happening.
You're like, you're just like in your room. There's a silhouette from your window. You're like, ah, and you're like electrocuting yourself. And then someone's just like, well, I guess I'll just take his car. They just wheel it out of there. They don't even have to turn it on. They just like pull out. They just pull out the power steering and like the cataract converter. They just wheel your car out. And then we come back to the house. You're still in there. Ah! You come out. You're all swollen, like Gumball's dad. Like a JoJo character when you come outside of your room.
I just feel like, speaking of that, like the Amazing Adventures of Gumball? Is that the title?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's just American JoJo.
It literally is American JoJo. Literally. American JoJo with cats. Is he a cat? I think it's supposed to be a cat.
Is a cat.
It's weird sometimes. It's Mike Pence's favorite training regimen. You don't know. No wonder his hair's all white. He's all getting shocked. Just gotta. And now live from Mike Pence's house. Ah! And then we look inside further and you see Joe's his trainer. Keep going. Keep going. Ah! And then you jack his car.
You know who didn't jack a car?
Who?
Spider-Man in Far From Home.
You know what? You're right. He could have several times with the new technology he was given, which he willingly gave to fucking.
Jake. I mean, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. What do you expect?
Clever, but oh my god, it's still pee-pee. Clever, but still lame.
I did like the scene when he gave him the glasses, like, and then he finally reveals like everything. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because I liked how they actually stayed with him just being like the master of illusion and everything.
Yeah, I actually really like the whole him being actually like using normal visual effects like shit. Like his suit is actually a 3D model suit.
Yeah, a mocap suit.
Oh, it's actually a mocap suit, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's fucking rad. And it's got the little drones. It's like, oh my god, this is actually really fucking cool. Although
Wait, he killed himself, right?
Huh?
He ended up killing himself, right?
Yeah. Literally, Peter just dodged the bullet and he shot himself.
Yeah.
That was like, it was. I mean, it was very tense. But I was like, wait, did he just fucking shoot himself? Because he was like, you can't fool, you can't trick me anymore.
Oh, they did?
What?
They pulled a Sam Raimi.
Oh, you know what? You're right. When he jumps, when he jumps out of the way, and then the fucking Green Goblin just stabs himself. Yeah.
I was just about to say, I'm like, why didn't he just use the drone to run into? Oh, they pulled a Sam Raimi.
Well, to be fair, I don't know whether or not Jake Gyllenhaal knew if he had spider senses, but one thing for sure is Norman Osborn did not know that either. Like, Norman Osborn did not know at all. I think one thing that all I think a majority of Spider-Man villains don't know that he has that. But I think the only one who does is Venom. But normally Norman Osborn did not know, so when he just jumped out of the way and then he was like, "Oh, shit." So it's kind of funny that, like, yeah, he's just bringing that up now. They basically copied that all over again.
Also, like Mysterio's. What's the word I'm looking for? His reasoning for doing all that. Like they tied it in with Stark, but I felt like it's kind of weak.
Um, everyone else, yes, but not his reasoning. Like the other
Because he's.
people, they were kind of like really undermined, but his was
Mm,
like I was like, it makes sense, but I don't know. I don't think that Stark would have funded a project that big and then call it his, because he was like, he took my biochemical alternate reality something machine. And you know what he called it? Barf. I was like, okay, and I'd be more mad that you sold your project or you sold your idea. I'd be mad at myself. I don't remember it too much, but I was like, I don't think Tony Stark would have done that, like in that sense. But you know, whatever. It just felt like another. It just felt like. Have you seen the movie Nightcrawler
oh yeah, that was a great movie.
with him in it?
Yeah,
He was very creepy,
he was.
and I kind of got Nightcrawler vibes again. Like that's
Yeah,
what it kind of felt with
especially,
me, where he was
like,
like, no
towards the end
longer.
when-
Yeah.
In Nightcrawler towards the end when what was it the was his cameraman? They just kind of left dying in the street.
Wait, that was weird.
Yeah, it was.
He was like, you go. Although they were casual about it, no?
I don't
Like-
remember. I haven't seen it in a while. But I'm just like, what? Wait, what just happened? Why is
All
he
I
just
know-
leaving him?
All I know is that he sent him out, and then he got shot, and then he was like, well, I'm just gonna go back in the car.
Yeah.
I was
So
like,
that's how it was. Like
yeah,
it was
alright.
always just about him to get the upper hand on everything. It's like, well, that's on you.
yeah, literally. I remember when he hired him, he was like, the best I can give you is $5, and he's like, man, I'll take anything. I was like, what the fuck? It was dumb.
The best I can do is that you owe me money, man. I'll take anything.
You know what's also funny? The way how he somehow managed to upload his video to the news station just from his little stupid ass old laptop.
Oh.
I'm like, damn, I wish we had technology, because we would have had our videos done ages ago.
And it was probably recording 8K and somehow had it uploaded onto the laptop.
It's literally from a little fucking USB too.
That USB was actually a micro SSD.
Micro SSD. Damn. Alright, good night, dude. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Basically, it's been a long night.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that wraps up our entire list for tonight, actually.
Yep. I didn't expect us to actually go through it.
Just on cue, yeah. Well, that was a very long, interesting ride for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. What do you say, Joe? Are you ready to tap out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll take notes on how to improve the podcast, because I feel like too many times we can have better subjects to talk about. But we come up with things as they come along.
Give
Which
us
is
ideas.
Which is hence why we take 4 hours to explain 10 movies. But, I mean, thank you for being with us on this journey. And with that said, make sure you all check out our different platforms where we're showcasing our content. Make sure to check out the Instagram, make sure to check out the Twitter, make sure to check out the YouTube channel for sure if you're watching on the Twitch. And if you're on the YouTube, make sure you check out the Twitch channel, vice versa. And keep posted for our soon to be announced TikTok channel where we're going to have Joe kick me in the ass and I'm going to shit myself apparently.
Yep.
So make sure you guys enjoy yourselves, have a nice night. Our OnlyFans, yeah, that's gonna come by way later when Kevin starts feeling more comfortable throwing it back in public. Because if I start an OnlyFans, it's gonna be for me. Because I know I'll make fat bank off of that. I'll consider it. I'll consider it. But other than that, thank you all for joining us for this journey. My name is Mark Apollo, and that over there is Joe21K.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't eat things through your toes. And make sure you guys stay beautiful.